And we're now officially live. Welcome to, wow, it's been months since we've actually done one of these. Welcome to episode 4 of Autistic Analysis of Dungeons and Dragons classes. I'm Adam.
Huzzah!
And Mrs. Diopsid.
And I am the Diopsid.
Oh my, you managed to escape from the hive. We haven't seen you in months.
Yeah, life kind of sucks sometimes.
So hey, let's exploit this as best as we can. So today we're going to cover another Dungeons and Dragons book that has a bunch of classes. It has 3 actual 1 to 20s and a bunch of prestige classes called Complete Divine. Unfortunately, because Wizards is Wizards, we're not going to show this book because it's not part of the system reference document. So they tend to get pretty antsy when you show things that are not. So you're just going to have to listen to our voice. This is actually a really good episode to listen to if you're trying and failing to make pulled pork ribs or any other long form cooking, or if you have to go to grandma's house, which is 3 hours away.
And that it's close to home.
So let's start off with the 3 1 to 20 classes, and it opens up with Favorite Soul, which the best way to describe it is what happens if you take a sorcerer and you turn it into a divine.
Didn't we previously do the miniatures handbook?
Yeah, we did. So we actually already covered Favored Soul.
Yeah.
I don't remember what rank we gave it, but as a sorcerer bootleg, I'm just going to give it a good. It's a little weaker than sorcerer in terms of jump, just because divine.
Especially the dual casting stats.
Yeah, that's why. It's given dual casting stats. Complete Divine did not fix this. It is just a complete transplant from Miniatures Handbook.
Yeah.
It is just a straight up good class. Very solid if you want to try a spontaneous caster that does divine magic. It is not as good as Sorcerer just because you would need 2 good stats. And on top of that, the specials you get, yeah, you get energy resistances, which are nice. But at the end of the day, all you get are wings, which I don't want to think about because I read the newest Unearthed Arcana. I can rant about that, and I don't want to.
Please
don't. And I guess the idea is that they originally wanted it to be more martial focused because they give it weapon focus and weapon specialization. But, it comes a little bit too late. I mean, level 12 for weapon specialization.
It also does get the cleric's base attack bonus progression, which is 3/4. Yeah. So every 4 levels, you get 3 ranks up.
Yeah.
Yes. You need to fill the runtime. I'll be right back.
Hey, what should we do?
I think we should say that D&D 1 is probably going to be completely awful.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it will be.
Your character species doesn't matter anymore. You can mix and match anything you want. You can play a dwarf that is literally just an elf.
You can play a flying dwarf.
And free wheelchairs for everyone.
And sign language, because people are insane. Like, seriously, deaf culture's insane. Like, it's even worse than the neurodivergent.
Don't worry, the crisis has been averted. Apologies for that.
Okay.
What were you guys talking about while I was gone?
Just the wonders of 60.
Wonders of 60?
6E.
Ah, yes, D&D 1.
Well, I mean, to be fair, 5th edition was called D&D Next for like a year and a half before they finalized everything.
They're going to call this one
the same deal.
They're going to call this one D&D 60 a lot quicker because you can already make some very fun puns out of the name.
Yeah.
Like D and Done, Dumb and Done, Done and Dumber. So anyway, the Shugenja is up next.
Ooh.
Yep, this class was originally in the 3.0 book Oriental Adventures, and this was updated to be 3.5 with some of the Rokugan related skills and other stuff filed off.
You know, the last time we looked at a Oriental Adventures character class, wasn't it the Ronin?
No, that was the samurai. The Ronin was just. Oh crap! We need a prestige class in this book that would help the samurai.
We looked at both.
Yeah.
We did. I think we also looked at the Wujin, or actually, we might not have. Did we?
I don't recall.
Okay, so for those wondering, the Samurai was Oriental Adventures' attempt to create a fighter, I believe, or a paladin, or like some weird combo.
Yeah. And then they took what little perks it had and threw it out of the window when they updated it to 3.5.
Mm-hmm. Shugenja would be your cleric attempt, although it acts a lot more like a sorcerer, and Wujin is your wizard. They have their own spell list, which is why I'm going to probably rank the Shugenja lower already, because one of the things about classes when they're introduced in Splat books is unless they're mentioned again or expanded upon in other books, what you get is what you get. And the Shugenja never really got many more updates. It's not like the Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock was really popular. That's why it got like a lot of stuff.
Ah, yes, the most popular ranged character in the game, the best archer too.
Yeah.
So the way the Shugenja works is, again, like I mentioned, it is a spontaneous caster. It uses charisma as its stat. They also have the ability to use swords, short swords, which are fluffed as wakazashis. Why you would use this? No clue, since you have a poor base attack bonus. Which means you're like a wizard. Basically, if you're wondering, full base attack bonus is fighter. You get 1 point every level. Cleric is cleric or bard. You get 3 every 4 levels, and for stuff like wizards and shugenjas, you get 1 every 2 levels. Or no, I got it wrong. Basically, at the end, you're gonna get 10 and 2 hits.
Yep.
Bit of a whoopsie. I don't quite remember the internal calculations for poor.
Basically, it's just equal to your class level, equal to 3/4 your class level, or equal to half your class level. Rounded down.
Who's that?
It's Greg. Greg, who has been trying to get Discord to work for the last hour.
Don't worry, buddy. I had to avert a dangerous explosion.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it wasn't. Don't worry. It was a very simple matter to solve. And since we're not showing the book, because let's be fair, Wizards of the Coast would yeet us into the sun if they did. It's just our pretty little faces.
I mean, they're already eating themselves into the sun, so nothing's safe.
Urged to talk about Ardling's supple skin rising. That's actually in the book.
I go with the thing if I just don't care. I'm gonna do it with just I don't care. I don't follow. Anyway, what do we? So 3.5 classes.
Yep, and we're covering Complete Divine.
Yay!
We are getting into the Shugenja, which is the Oriental Adventurer's attempt to create a cleric, but as a sorcerer.
Oh, Oriental Adventures, you were.
Let's be fair, the Shugenja isn't completely bad. It just has a lot more flaws.
I didn't say bad. I didn't say. I wasn't gonna say it's bad or fucked up. It's just. It's like watching the kid with one leg try and play soccer.
Oh.
Like, you get what I mean? It's like, oh, you're trying your best.
That'd be footballers for those who aren't familiar with our weird American term for that sport.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess also, yeah, but yeah, it's just like, oh, they're trying. He's trying.
So some basic details about the Shugenja are that, again, their casting stats charisma, so you can't dump it. It progresses like a sorcerer, but the spells that you get, I believe, are a lie. At least the number you get are a lie. And that's because oh wait, no, I'm confusing it with the next class. We'll get into that one later. But you're still a kind of a lie. Because, like the Wujin, you're affiliated to one of the Chinese elements. Or, actually, it might be one of the Western ones for these guys.
Also, you can't see it, but the class itself made a whoopsie that was fixed in the online errata.
Oh, where's the whoops?
Just look at the spell progression table and see if you see anything wrong.
5-3, 6-4, 6-5, 6-6-3. It's the spells per day, or is it the spells known?
Spells known.
Is it that you're not given enough spells to fill out your cantrips?
Well, I mean the spells per day. Look at the level 8 and 9 spells, how they're listed. You get level 7, level 8 spells the same level, and you get level 9 spells at level 16.
Oh, they kind of. What? I didn't catch that, but yeah, if you look, that is a massive accident. You should not be You should just be getting level 8 spells at 16.
Well, with the spells known table, you wouldn't know any. You just have the slots.
So, oh yeah, I can cast level 9 spells. Why aren't you, Shugenja? I just don't know any. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Another thing about the Shugenja that is an error is you have to affiliate yourself to a specific element.
Yeah, well, the Wu Gen is based around the 5 Eastern element tables, where instead of air it has wood and metal. Shengen's Edge does the classic earth, air, fire, water.
The Western view of elements.
Yeah.
The Greek view. Which I think is a little weird, but it's kind of more punishing than the Wu Gen, because you have to really dedicate your slots to that element. At level 1 alone, you need 3 of your spells to be attuned to that element.
Well, we got another.
Yep.
We got another walk-in.
Hey.
Hey there, Randall. We're just showing our pretty faces to the audience because Wizards will probably try to remove this if I show off the book.
Oh wait, this is. Oh, you guys are streaming?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Whoops, sorry.
Want to cover Complete Divine? We're reading the Shugenja.
Oh, he already disappeared.
He burst into flames.
A Shugenja
Yeah.
got him.
Yeah.
We will avenge you, Randall.
Like the real Randall.
So yeah, that's one of the big weaknesses, because here's a great example the Diopsid kind of covered for us already. If you pick a fire element as your main element, you're not going to be able to access healing.
Yeah, but if you pick water,
Opposite problem.
Yeah, you'll lose a lot of the actually decent damage spells they get.
So it is a level 1 through 9 caster, which it's never going to be a bad class because of this, usually. But it has a fairly small spell list, it doesn't really get updated, and on top of that, you're kind of committed to the elements that you have. On top of that, let me get, where's your hit point die? D6. It's a little frailer than a cleric as well.
Yep.
So it's kind of a worse cleric in every way, knocks it out of amazing instantly. Because of how you're forced to pick a spell, I'm almost tempted to not have it in good, but because it's a 1 to 9 caster and it does have a fairly decent list if I recall correctly,
it's completely usable.
I'm gonna say the bare minimum of good.
At the very least, similar to the Wu Gen, they made sure to bring over a lot of the Oriental Adventure spells they got in the original book into this book, so this way they had them.
Otherwise, you would have been absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's the bare minimum of good, kind of like how Taco Bell looks at the bare minimum of ground beef before accepting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that about right, or decent? Any other?
I'd say this is decent. It's definitely above playable.
Well, I would say it's good just simply because it has access to 0 through 9 spells. Like, the only 0 through 9 caster I could really edge lower than that in an addition, like 3.5, is Healer, but that's mostly just due to how hyper focused its spells is compared to like every other 0 through 9
Yeah,
caster.
I was about to say. Technically, 0 to 9 doesn't mean nothing if those 0 to 9 aren't worth it, damn.
Actually, Diopsid, isn't the Shire level 0 to 9?
Yeah, but at least it has access to the wizard and sorcerer spell list.
True, for those wondering, since we talked a little bit about D&D 6th edition while I was gone, they're splitting up divine spells again into primal like they did in 4th edition. I don't know why, because arcane spells are easily the largest school by far. Yeah, I don't get it either. So with that, we actually get to the third of the 1 to 20s. We're kind of speed running it, but that's because there's a lot of prestige classes. And this
they're
one's
far
an
more
odd
interesting.
duck. Spirit Shaman's an odd duck. I actually still struggle to get my head around it.
Yeah, it basically is a druid without any of the actual good class abilities druid gets. It just gets a bunch of weird spirit stuff, but not
And,
spirits in the traditional D&D sense.
well, kinda, yeah, kinda no. So, the spirits defined that the Spirit Shaman deals with, which means this is what the Spirit Shaman's effects hit, are all incorporeal undead, all fae, and all elementals. It also includes creatures in an astral form or with astral bodies, but they can't be physically present on there. They have to have just that. And they also throw in from Oriental Adventures the spirit subtype. And also spirit folk and Telthors, spirit creatures created by spells such as Dreamsight or Woodwoes. So, in experience, these guys are good at fighting ghosts, occasionally fae, and if you run into elementals somewhat commonly.
Yeah, but the number of fae above CR5 in the edition is very, very, very small.
And let's be honest, you're not going to be running into elementals all that much.
Yeah.
It's I'm really good at killing this one thing. Oh, okay, Ranger. Okay, Ranger Smith. Can you fight this undead robot atrocity? That's literally
Yeah.
all of the stuff I'm
The
not
big
used to.
thing for it having any type of combat power is its spells. It has the spell slots of a spontaneous caster, but their spells known, rather than being a specific set list like a sorcerer or favorite soul has earlier in this book, they instead can in the morning decide what spells from the druid spell list they can use for the day.
That
But
reminds me
the
of War
number
Mage.
but the number is so few that you're gonna be one trick pony type of guy for most of the day. Like starting with second level spells, you only can pick one spell of that level per day for the first 3 levels you have that spell level.
On top of that, keep in mind your spells per day, you have way more of them than you have retrieval spells. Like
Yeah, so
you have six level 1 slots pretty early on. You can only really retrieve 3 spells though.
yeah, but everybody else only get one level 1 spell.
So the biggest problem with this is it has kind of that War Mage and Beguiler and that, unique type of spontaneous caster concept where you
It's
just
not
have
really
your
quite
list.
like that. It's worse in every aspect. Because they
Oh,
get to just simply draw from their entire spell list, no drawbacks. While this, it has to decide what spells it can spontaneously cast for the day. While they can customize it, they can only
you can
do,
only
for
pick
most
from
spells,
3.
yeah, like at level 20, they can only know 3 spells of each spell level, except for 9th level spells, which they only know 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's way. I feel like they're overcomplicating it.
And the
I
druid
don't
spell
think.
list is not the type of spell list where you could just deal with having 1 or 2 different spells of each spell level and work just fine. Druid spell list usually works because of the prepared nature of the druid.
This is
Like, I
absolutely
don't get.
cursed.
Yeah, like it isn't even a true spontaneous version of a druid. You're saying.
Like, it would have been far more useful if it was actually just simply a spontaneous druid instead of this weird halfway point.
It also has a
Yeah, why did they just?
I was just
Yeah,
gonna...
why did they
Oh,
just
sorry.
make a spontaneous druid?
There's also the cursed element of its chastised spirit. See, when I think of things like censor outsiders or turn undead, if you do well enough on the result, it just gets rid of them. That doesn't work for chastised spirit. You just keep doing damage based on your level. That's one of the early abilities they get. They also get detect spirits, which, they get a lot of little support boosters, but it's not that impressive.
Oh yeah, the only reasons why Druid is even also one of the big three is that while it has by far the worst spell list of the big three casters, it has the best class abilities of the three.
Well, it's because they have so many.
Yeah. But that's not the many. That the class abilities are really, really powerful. And
think
this
about it
doesn't
like
have
this.
anything near that.
Well, think about it like this, Diopsid. Druid, 0 to 9th caster, that already is pretty good. They can also shape their bodies into much more powerful creatures. And on top of that, they have a pretty beefy ally that grows with them.
And not to mention, when in doubt, they can convert any spell they currently have into a minion they can use temporarily.
So I'm looking at this, and their spirit guide also doesn't really seem to do much. I think the characteristics they offer are actually... Oh god, they're basically like the... what is it called? The inspirations from 5th edition, but without any mechanical benefit. It's just there. What is this? Warding of the spirit. Once a day, you can just prevent ghosts from attacking you for a few minutes. Spirit form is just a crapper version of what's the one that turns you into mist?
Wait, that's the best part. To doing the warding takes 1 minute, so it's useless for combat. Cause that'd be 10 rounds,
And it only
and it
lasts for
lasts
10 minutes per level.
Yeah.
What a joke. Now, if it was like, I don't know, an hour per level, that actually would make sense and be useful. Exorcism. They can force a possessing creature or spirit out of a body, which is very, very situational. Weakened spirits, at that point, you're probably wrecking things like Fae and Elementals like nothing. So, yeah, this is pretty bad. Even by 0 to 9 caster. I said the Shugenja was like the bare minimum of good. I kind of want to rate this as very high decent, because this is just... Yeah, you're a 0 to 9th caster, but you got your 3 spells, and that's it, Sonny Jim.
Yeah, I have to say decent. This, they made this way too overly complicated. Like, it's like it's not hard to make a spontaneous druid that's like balanced. Like
I also like how they just have the completely fluff-based spirit guy, which really doesn't actually do anything.
yeah, like there's it's just like
I am
there's this,
one with
like,
the
table.
buffalo.
Yeah, like there's this like table that like just has like a bunch of animals with like different personalities. Like it's pointless. It's just a waste.
Yeah, it even says it gives comforts no special advantages or disadvantages.
That's why I
Like,
compared
it's
it to
just there.
inspiration. That's why I compared it to the inspiration from 5th edition. Only it doesn't give you a benefit like a reroll.
Come on.
Yeah.
You at least get to have a giant ghost body. Like, don't you want like big ghost buffalo floating around your head, telling me what to do all the time?
I prefer a ghost spider that can just randomly start dancing upon my head, and people just look at it, and I don't react at all.
Why is like the characteristic for the turtle love?
That's actually funny, because don't they abandon their youth before they're even born? Go on, little Timmy.
If you really love them, you got to let them go and let them get eaten by the predators.
Go on, little Timmy. You gotta finish the death race.
You can do it. You can we believe in you.
Meanwhile, the seagulls are like, "Oh yeah, the buffet's about to kick in."
You say that I've been doing with seagulls all day long.
Also, why the hell is Rabbit conquering fear?
Rabbits are, I mean, they'll fight back, but they run for a
I mean,
good reason.
hey, remember. Bravery is not the absence of fear; it is working through
It's
it.
fighter's industry.
And
So I'm
Why
just
is
imagining
Blizzard
some
allowed
like
this?
spider with like a top hat running a coal mining town in the 1800s.
I think you just invented the newest Pokemon for the Spain region, Diopsid.
Ah,
That's the new bug type. It'll grow up from a larva into a spider inexplicably. Either way, yeah. So overall, the classes they're not bad. You can definitely have fun with them. Even the worst of them still solid, although I probably wouldn't recommend Spirit Shaman.
Yeah, no, just play Druid.
Oh wow! So for prestige classes, they're divided into the following groups: good guys, bad guys, extra domains, strong spellcasting, moderate spellcasting, separate spellcasting, arcane spellcasting, combat focused, stealthy.
I'm feeling like an extra domains today.
Yeah.
I feel like a separate spellcasting, whatever the hell that means.
I think those are the ones that have their own unique spell list.
Oh, those are gonna be terrible. Speaking of terrible, it's the Black Flame Zealot. Actually,
Oh,
I don't remember this one at all. Oh, yeah, it's already kind of a failure. I can see the spells per day don't progress that well. I mean, it advances it at least.
it's basically if you
Yeah.
want to be a rogue cleric hybrid but suck at being both of those things.
Yeah.
Especially
This
since you gotta
does.
take exotic weapon proficiency in kukri in order to take it.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, spell progression usually is kind of. It's like most of the time, from
It
what I
is
noticed.
for a casting class, for you to join a prestige class. Casters usually don't have much tying them down to what they're playing with initially. Like, a wizard usually only has like a familiar, and that's about it. Like, maybe one or two extra things. So, for a casting prestige class, usually you kind of want them to, well,
Well, yeah,
advance
cast.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, to take all 10 levels on this class and to enter it, you would lose at least 6 caster levels. Even then, it's not easy getting those 8 ranks in Hide and Move Silently both with only 1 rogue level.
So, here's my question. How would you advance spells if you somehow made it into this without entering? Oh, you have to be able to cast spells. So
Yeah.
the other point of view is you started to go as a rogue, and then for some insane reason, I don't know, maybe you smoked too much crack that day. You decide to become a cleric. So maybe that's the point of view. You're supposed to start as a rogue and then take a couple levels of
Yeah,
cleric.
the thing is that, like I said, the high rank requirements just really hinder trying to like balance getting as many spell slots as possible while also having those.
Yeah, I think the logic they're going with is it's for the rogue that wants to dabble in magic. The problem is you're sacrificing a couple sneak attack dice by doing that.
Yeah.
And you're not getting a ton of magic out of it. So let's get some details on what you actually get out of this. So let's see. Where is your hit point die? I am actually not this. Wait, I don't see the hit point die.
It's D6. It's like next to. There's a picture of it with a cape. It's like
Oh,
squished.
that's not great design there. So they're obsessed with the holy flame, and here's what they get from it. They get a death attack, which is very situational.
Oh yes, the assassin ability.
Like it's cool, but not that interesting. They get zealous heart, which means they're now immune to fear. They get the ability to use poison, which if they're a rogue, don't they already get it?
No, there's a variant that can get poison use, but rogues don't get it by default.
Okay, I was just wondering. You gain sneak attack die, but you lose a few if you started as a rogue, and you definitely you lose a lot if you start as a cleric.
You're going to lose a lot of both sides of the family either way.
A crap version of Dimension Door.
Oh, yes, yeah. Fateful Stride.
Come
They're
on,
trying to make it sound cool, but it's just...
come on, Diopsid. Don't you want the Sacred Flame, which just allows you to add a d6 point worth of fucking fire damage to this?
What a bargain.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm cross-classing between not 2, but 3 different classes with average VAB, meaning my attack rolls are going to suck.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's
and
the
you
thing.
get-
You lose what
and
you
you get
lose
it-
a little each time.
Yeah, and you get it like at 7th level of the prestige class.
Each time you enter an average base attack bonus class, you start by gaining nothing. Because the way Dungeons and Dragons work when it comes to rounding is it always rounds down. Yes, hypothetically, you have a base attack bonus of 0.75. That doesn't matter. Mathematically, it is calculated as 0, since there is no value in the ones spot.
Yeah, it's because your base attack bonus is calculated separately for each class. The numbers you see, you just add onto the numbers of the levels you'd get for the previous class.
So you lose an attack level because you entered cleric or entered rogue, and you lose
But
another
entering
one.
both, you lose it, and then you lose it again for entering this.
And you don't get anything back out of it. So you're gonna, at best, have, I believe it's 12, 7, 2.
Like capstone ability, I'm not really that impressed. Like,
Oh, unholy immolation. What does this glorious thing do? Any creature killed by his death attack or sneak attack is immediately and utterly consumed by unholy fire. And the only
That's
way to bring someone back is to... Oh god, that's terrible.
yeah, you only have it has to be a killing blow. Like, you can't just like have a successful sneak attack and like die.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah. I
make
mean,
the save and dies.
yeah, usually the DM doesn't throw toadies with true resurrection or any type of resurrection around repeatedly, so
Yeah,
this
like
is basically just a fluff ability as a capstone.
yeah, it's not really like like why would you like
They're dead either way.
why would yeah, exactly. Like, I mean,
So
was this supposed I don't get it.
I already have my rating for it, and I'm pretty sure everyone will agree. Not necessarily. We have our own opinions. I'm going with garbage for this one.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
Do
Garbaggio.
you what my feelings are on this?
Sure.
Do you remember a long time ago you showed me that picture of Elmo just engulfed in fire?
Yes! Burn it all!
That's my feelings on this.
In fact, actually, I think that was the picture you used when you originally
I know.
reviewed this book.
Yeah, I reviewed it a while back. I don't remember, because I used to be a lot kinder to classes.
Oh,
I
yeah,
might
you
have given
were.
it a decent. No, not decent.
No,
There's
you
no
didn't.
way.
No,
I remember. You
No,
gave
you
it
didn't.
garbage. You
Okay.
did garbage. It was garbage back then, too. But that was
But the original review never brought up the base attack bonus.
Yeah,
Just
because at
taking
the
the
time I
giant
didn't
dump.
think of it. I didn't think of it at the time.
Yeah.
But then now I have, and yeah, it's fluff-wise, it's kind of cool. You're part of a holy order dedicated to the Black Flames. The dark fire. That's kind of cool. The problem is this class is
edgy.
dog crap.
Yeah.
It'd be cooler to just fluff your rogue as being a member of that order if you want to keep it, or just play a particularly sinister cleric.
Or for some reason, I just remember that weird fan theory that Pelor actually used to be the evil human god, and secretly the evil human god from Complete Destiny in disguise, because the example cleric in the player's handbook accidentally has an evil spell prepared. As Pelor the Burning Hate.
Speaking of
God.
terrible,
Yeah.
the Blighter.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
wanna
the
play Captain
Blighter.
Planet villain? It's like a Captain Planet villain.
So, little known fact is that, like the Paladin, druids have their own opposite force.
Yeah, they can fail at being a druid, so they lose their magic mojo. It's like paladins.
And just like the Blackguard, the Blighter is fucking terrible. Let's get into it.
I
Yes.
would. I guess it. The well, we'll get into it.
So,
You'll see why.
okay, the way this works is when a druid loses their power by basically losing their neutral affinity or just neglecting their duties, some decide to say, fuck it, burn this planet, and this is what they become. It's like the druid, you get a d8 hit die. You have to be a non-good druid. You have to have a base attack bonus of 4. You have to have been a former druid. And the spells per day. Since blighters are ex-druids, they lose their druid spellcasting abilities, but they gain access to new and more destructive spells, which are actually really fucking terrible, but we'll get into it.
No, actually, this is the one thing I will defend is the Blighter actually has a pretty cool spell list.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, it has a lot of really fun spells in it.
Ah. See, I didn't know that, and I'll get into why. So,
Like it gets a lot of the core like fire elemental spells and a lot of other weird stuff like animate dead and finger of death and
that's interesting.
well,
The problem is its special ability, deforestation.
yeah.
I never read the spell list, so I'll be honest, people who are watching this. The Diopsid has. I never have read this Blighter spell
Yeah.
list.
I mean, it also gets some. It also gets the level 9 druid spell Shambler as a level 8 spell, and it gets Implosion, which is normally exclusive to clerics
Ooh, that is good.
and death masters.
That is really good. If you're wondering, Implosion is one of the best saver dies you can throw at someone.
Because it doesn't technically count as a saver die, so immunity to it doesn't mean shit.
So, here's why the Blighter sucks, and this is why I've never bothered reading its spells, even if it's pretty good spell list. Deforestation. A Blighter can, no, it's not can, they have to, kill all non-sentient plant life within a radius of 20 feet per Blighter level as a full round action. If a potentially affected plant is under the control of another, such as druids, the controller must make a fortitude save to keep it alive. They immediately die. And I believe, yeah, they need it. You need to do this to cast your spells. You have to just destroy wildlife and forests to gain your spell slots.
If you're in a desert, like tough shit. If you're in the middle of
it literally says non-forest environments, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah,
Like this class ability is legitimately the only thing holding this class back from being amazing, like the Herb Priest.
So, for those wondering, if you want to actually use the Blighter, the greatest ways to do it is to change deforestation to not be the requirement. Like, they can just cast spells, it just innately takes out life from the sands or areas around it.
Or just get rid of the stupid roleplay option, which is really hard to do in urban settings in general.
Mm-hmm. So, literally, the only thing holding this back is the first level special ability that you have to work with.
Yeah.
Let's actually take a closer look, because I never bothered to, because, let's be fair, I'm gonna rate this kind of actually, since you gave it a good spell, you recommended it because of its spell lists, I'll be kind. I'll be kind and say...
And other class abilities are actually really cool, actually.
I'll be kind and say, because of the deforestation, it should be garbage, but because everything else is pretty cool, and we'll get into it, I'm going to get it above into playable or decent. And the reason why is because if you're in the right setting, you can definitely use this thing.
Yeah.
I was about to say, this is definitely playable.
The biggest problem is if you're playing in like a Dark Sun setting, or if you're like in a post-apocalypse setting, or anywhere where there's not a light of life.
Yeah, well then don't.
Especially since, from a roleplay perspective, you're gonna get caught.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do this every day.
That's the other problem.
Yeah, I would also say this kind of class feels like this was more meant for like NPCs to fuck with druids.
It does feel like a rejected Book of Vile Darkness class, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one thing that second level, they can do big fiery blast.
Yep, Blight Fire. Starting at second level as a standard action, a Blighter can unleash a scorching blast of fire. It deals 5d6 points of fire damage to all creatures within 10 feet, and ignites flammable objects it touches. They delight in starting wildfires. That's amazing. That's really
Yeah,
fun.
I should point out that this has no limit to how often you can use this.
On top of that, second level, you no longer need food or water.
Yeah.
Undead Wild Shape. So rather than turn into a normal critter, you turn into an undead version of the critter.
Yeah, you add the skeleton template to the animal, which gives you a crap ton of immunities.
Which makes it a better version of Wild Shape in some respects. Speak with a dead animal. Contagious Touch. You can give people diseases. Animate dead animal as a companion. Unbond. You could actually unbond. You could cuck a druid out of its bond with its companion.
Well, the thing you also know about animate dead animal is that you don't need the material component. You can literally just do a animal specific animate dead for free once a day.
Well, here's the thing. I never actually seriously read the Blighter because, let's be fair, deforestation kind of utterly ruins it.
Yeah.
But if you just throw that out, this is a real fun class to bring to an evil campaign. Like, if you're going for an evil game, this is really looking good. Yeah, I'm gonna change my. Originally, I was gonna say garbage just because that bar, but no, it's decent. It's pigeonholed. You have to be in a high wildlife area, but no, this is good. Especially if you throw out that one problem. And last but not least, you could just ruin everyone's day with plague. No, I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's look there. The Blight Frost, it's not a big spell list, but it has, Ray of Enfeeblement.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Yep.
Burning Hands, which is not too bad since you're going to be in melee quite a bit. Flaming Sphere, which is always fun.
Or regular druids also get it, but it still gets Flame Strike.
Protection from
Rusting Grass.
Stinking Cloud. Blight, Death Ward. Repel Vermin. Rusting Grass. Transmute Mud to Rock. Wall of Fire. Anti-Life Shell. Contagious Touch. Create Undead. Harm. Acid
Harm
Fog.
as a 5th level spell.
Yeah? It gets Harm twice, actually. It gets it as a 6th level spell as well. Whoops. Earthquake, Firestorm. Repulsion. Waves of Oh, there's Implosion. Oh, yeah, this is one of the nastiest things to bust out on someone. Oh, it's such a great way to ruin someone's day. So,
Horde Wilting is also a pretty nasty spell, too.
Oh, yeah, there's some good stuff in here. It's not the greatest spell list in the world, but it's pretty solid. So, yeah, the Blighter, originally I was going to rate it garbage. Because, let's be fair, the first thing you get is kind of grating.
I'll be honest, I would still rate it garbage myself, mostly because deforestation alone makes the class borderline unplayable in so many situations.
Yeah, because you do have to destroy 20 feet of life per Blighter level.
Yeah, and
like it just isn't feasible, especially if what if you go in a dungeon?
Yeah, plus I think this
is NPC tier. Just be this is the thing holding it back.
Yeah, I would actually rate this NPC tier.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Diopsid. NPC tier would be playable because I'm going to be fair. It's a really crippling ability, but I've rated classes before, despite being pigeonholed to one specific situation. If you're going on a campaign to destroy the Elven Wood Kingdoms, the Wood Elf Kingdoms, you bring this guy. It's a limited ability.
There is in fact some use from this beast.
I can't give it higher than playable, and it is an NPC tier. Oh yeah, the Church Inquisitor. This one's an interesting
That's
one.
oh my gosh, this is my favorite like prestige class. I'm really, so I'll be really biased here. Just a warning.
All right, so the concept of the Church Inquisitor is all religious orders have some form of corruption. It's just the name of the game. Organizations, there's usually some form of nepotism, favoritism, just some sort of ism that makes them not 100% efficient at their jobs. Now, usually it's not always a big deal, like little things here and there. But when things get bad and you have popes selling titles in exchange for large amounts of money and or party favors, and they're like putting family members onto office staff or in other church positions.
Or in D&D cases, this local deacon has turned into is leading a cult, is leading a death cult of child assassins.
Yeah, like when they get really far away and they start to really err, a church inquisitor comes in and beats their shit in. So
Yep.
that's the role of the church inquisitors. They specialize in divination to seek out evil and corruption in their organization. They protect themselves, and then they go in and cleanse out the specific temple, either by beating up the local head priest and or having to kill them if they turn out to be actually possessed by a devil or something.
Yep. Yep, as you'll see, they're actually a really good, like, if you want to play a more social cleric.
So one thing
In my
that goes
opinion.
in its favor is it's a 10 level prestige class. I should point out that each of these have been 10 levels. This one advances all of the spell casting. So you lose nothing as a cleric already.
Yeah, except for turning, but like if you're in an undead, without a lot of undead, like it's no big deal.
Undead are situational, so unless you're playing like Age of Worms, you're probably fine.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're like,
Yeah, turn undead is for the most part better as a resource for various feats. And how many turns you have isn't dependent on your level. It's just simply based off of how high your charisma is. So the number you have is completely unaffected by this.
So basically, divine
Yeah.
meta magic's not affected. So here's the things you get. You get the ability to detect evil. You're immune
Like a
to
paladin.
charm. So you're immune to a lot of basic enchantment,
You also get the Inquisition domain as a bonus domain.
which isn't bad.
The
You get some good spells
Inquisition-
there.
Yeah, there are some good spells there, like a lot of social stuff, and imprisonment is good, and
You get Pierce
Dictum and-
Illusion, Pierce Disguise, which allows you to out people who are faking. Basically, you get slightly better abilities to, like, if you have a jerk ass thief, like a douchebag rogue who likes to play around with disguises, this guy is somewhat better at spotting that. And they also gain the ability to completely ignore illusions. They are immune to compulsions at higher levels. If you're dealing with a changeling, they can force them back to their original form. They are at high levels immune to getting possessions, so they're immune to spells like Magic Jar, Soul Bind, Trap the Soul. Immune to the Ghost's Malevolence ability. And that basically means that you can't be essentially killed by these. You gain Discern Lies as a spell-like ability, which is it's kind of a nice
3
little
times
flavor.
per day.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's free. It's a free spell
Yeah.
slot you don't have to waste.
Yep.
And Learn the Truth, which when you touch someone, you force the creature to tell the truth, where they have to make a will save, and if they fail, yeah, they squeal. Overall, I'd say this is a solid choice. If you're playing a cleric whose big thing is investigation or dealing with other people, not a bad option. It doesn't penalize you at all.
I mean, there's like next to no downsides for taking this for the most part, but I will say that this class is keyed for campaigns that have a lot of intrigue. If you're a
Yeah.
typical dungeon diving adventurers, you won't get too much out of a lot of its interrogation related abilities. But it would give you some nice immunities at least.
Yeah, like it's for like it's definitely like you definitely like it's definitely for games where you like where like a lot more social skills are required and stuff. Like I would agree. Like if you're just doing like a game that's like entirely in like a mega dungeon, then like it's probably not good. I will concede with that, but like again, like you get like absolutely nothing to there's absolutely nothing to lose and like everything to gain taking this.
I mean, the only thing you lose are turning attempts, but you don't even lose the
You don't even lose the
charges.
number of attempts, it just becomes slightly weaker.
Yeah, it's slightly weaker. And honestly, while it's nice to have against undead, you mostly use it to burn meta magic, and you can still do it.
Yeah.
It's a straight up. I'd say because of its situationalism, I can't rate this higher. I can't rate this amazing, but it's a good class. I mean, it's just perfectly good class. Gives you decent immunities, and it's really, really good if you're dealing with a lot of investigation.
Yeah.
If not, it does allow you to ignore illusions and enchantments and possession.
I would say like, this is like high good, low amazing, like somewhere in between there because you do have a point that like it needs the right it needs the right campaign to like have its full potential. But yeah, it's you know, even if you accidentally choose the right campaign, like, again, you lose nothing. You just don't like reach your full potential. That's all that happens.
Well, the only thing that happens is your turn attempts get weaker. This is
But
great. Like, let's say a campaign is you are part of the Church of Pelor, and you're looking into the Black Sun conspiracy. What's that? We go with the crazy idea that Zereus, the human god of evil, that's actually seen as the dark half of Pelor. Like, you go with that, and you're like rooting out Zereus worship in the Church of Pelor.
yeah,
If you're doing that perfectly, it's an amazing class. If
or like
it's just
yeah,
anything else,
definitely.
it's good.
So
Yeah, it's good. Like I do plan on playing this. Like I was thinking like he like this guy like I was planning his job was more like dealing with like corruption in the missionary force. But yeah.
What are you gonna say, Greg?
So I would say this is it's in general just a decent thing.
Oh, yeah,
It's good.
It's fair.
Like if it's really good at one thing, but while it's useful outside of those, it's you're not getting the full value unless you're doing this.
It's fair.
That
That's
means it's
similar to why I rate the barbarian as decent.
And
Yeah,
I
it
will
does a
say
lot of
that
damage, but
there
outside of
actually
that,
is one thing besides turn you lose, and that you take a massive hit to your fort save.
yeah, that is fair.
And a small ping to your base attack bonus.
But that's almost completely non-noticeable.
Yeah.
Because usually as a cleric, yeah, occasionally you mix up in a fight, but you usually use other things. The Consecrated Harrier. I don't remember this one at all.
Yeah, this one is a class for rangers.
So you play essentially the bounty hunter for apostates, from what I'm looking at.
Yep.
D10 hit die, so fighter hit die. Have to be lawful. Disguise of 5 ranks, gather info 5, base attack of 5, need track. A weird special requirement to get there. So it's not the easiest to get into. You have to have the GM effectively give you the special.
Yep.
So let's see what you get.
I know with the class skills, you take a hit to your skill points entering as a ranger.
I also know that you seem to... Well, actually, you get a different spell list, too.
Yeah, well, it's literally the ranger spells with a couple spells added on, but you can also enter this as a rogue. That the base attack bonus requirement might be a bit harder. And you do actually have to take track instead of getting the freebie.
I'm thinking about it, but there's the specific ranger that I always bring up with this. If it's a ranger specific class, you can
Mystic
always
Ranger.
include it because it's called the Mystic Ranger. It's a variant where they get all of their spells early. And because of that, it makes them a lot friendlier to prestige classes. So this one would widen your spells per day you can use. Oh, wait, no, it wouldn't. It
Not
would
really.
count
You
the
probably
same.
get more just by taking the other 10 levels, honestly.
Yeah,
Because
that's
look at
fair.
its actual spells per day on the table.
Yeah, you only get 2, 2, 2, 1. I was just thinking. I was just thinking. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty. So yeah, you get a small selection of spells, and the spells you get are Animate Rope, Calm Emotions, Command, Disguise Self-Doom, which all suck, or are very situational.
Well, remember, it says specifically the Ranger spell list with the following additions.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot better as a rogue then.
Yeah.
Charm Person, Daylight, Detect Thoughts, Hold Person, Clairvoyance, Death Ward, Discern Lies. It's very situational. Like if you're entering this as a ranger situational, as a rogue, you do lose. Actually, no, you don't lose anything. You actually get a slightly better base attack.
Well, you lose sneak attack.
Fair.
But Ranger has a lot of really nice offensive spells that should make their attack stronger.
And you still keep a few sneak attack dice.
Yeah.
So what you get outside of that is Blessing of Scripture, which is a +2 sacred bonus on Bluff, Listen, Sense, Motive, Spot, and Survival, which a lot of that actually does stack with Rogue fairly fine. Detect Chaos, which allows you to just kind of casually be able to detect, I don't know, Chaos Beasts before they instantly turn you into jelly. I mean, come on, that's a useful ability. You don't have to worry about Chaos Beasts ambushing you. Although if you're fighting them, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Sanctified Sight, +4 bonus on all saves against illusion. Situational, but it's nice to have. Dispel Magic, which, yeah.
Yep. And what the interesting thing is that you can use this ability a number of times per day equal to their Wisdom modifier minimum 1.
Oh, that actually makes it a little better.
Yeah, it's actually all of their spell-like abilities are like this.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. Okay with them. They get False Vision, which that's a
They
spell-like
have Crushing
ability.
Despair too.
And last but not least, Implacable Hunt. If at 8th level, if the Consecrated Harrier wounds a target and they escape, they always know in which direction their target lies in the approximate distance. And if they're within 50 feet, they can find you. Oh, I could actually see using a consecrated Harrier with an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Like a team up.
Okay, so now that I'm looking at it, I'd say this is.
Oh, don't forget the actual capstone, which is Faultless Hunt.
I missed that one. Faultless Hunt. For those wondering, that one is when you establish an implacable hunt, you intensify this to faultless, which allows them to locate quarries even across planar boundaries. No matter what part of the crappy multiverse they're pushing, be it Athos, Toril, Greyhawk. Oh no, it's called Oerth. Oerth. It don't matter. They will find you.
They don't mean that type of multiverse. They mean like the Plane of Fire.
If you're hiding in the plane of Earth, we'll find you. If you're hiding in the Feywilds, we'll find you.
You were thinking of the Marvel equivalent of the multiverse.
I'm sorry, D and Dunn has destroyed my brain cells. I am rendered like that of a baby.
Yeah, though in the Code of Contact they say they cannot sneak attack the target. Like they actually have to like announce themselves, like some sort of it's like some sort of magical girl doing her speech or something.
I'm just imagining, because there is I forget the name of the moon goddess. Not the I remember the evil one, Shar, but I don't remember the name of the good one. Saloon, I think.
Yeah.
In the name of Saloon, I shall punish you.
Just imagine, like this Inquisitor Contra Terror team up. We know what plane he's on. If only I had someone that could cast plane shift. Oh wait, look, I have a cleric buddy who can do just that.
So, I think now that I'm looking at it, This is pretty darn good as a rogue. It's a pretty darn good deal. It's not perfect because the conduct means you can't really exploit your sneak attack dice that often.
Yeah.
But other than that, you gain access to good magic.
Well, I think remember that there is a rogue variant where you can give up sneak attack for other stuff.
So if you're
Yeah,
doing
so
that
ba-
already, you have a pretty good. I'm going to say it's a good class for that.
Yeah, it's good.
Outside of that, I'm going to have to put it on decent because Rangers don't really get much out of this.
Yeah.
And placeable hunt's
And don't
useful if
forget,
you
for a
really
rogue, that
want
also
to
means they
screw.
should probably invest some in wisdom.
Yeah, because wisdom's not a dump stat for you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in all, I'd say this is a mid-tier decent. And it actually kind of complements playing a Church Inquisitor. Like, I can see you actually doing a two-man group with that. That's actually really nice.
Yeah.
The Contemplative. Oh my lord, she looks like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
That wasn't an image I expected to hear.
I expect her at any second to scream at Kronk to get her some fucking cheese puffs.
Yep. Contemplative is if you want to be the castiest cleric that ever existed.
For those of you curious, I will show 1 second. No, actually, yeah, I will show her face zoomed in. I don't think wizards will get too mad if I do this. Because I'm not showing the book, I'm showing her pretty pixelated face. Doesn't this look like the main bad guy from the Emperor's New Groove? There we go. Now we saw your pretty face, let's get into the contemplative.
The requirements are pretty easy.
Let's see, yeah, knowledge, religion, 13 ranks. Fairly
Yep, the
high,
third
but
rank spell means you have to be level 10.
you only have to be able to cast first level divine spells, so you can just be stupid. Come on, Diopsid, don't you want to play, I don't know, a fighter or something with knowledge religion, not pick up any spells, and then the level before you need it, just pick up divine spells.
And then enter a class with poor base attack bonus. Makes sense.
Oh, wait, I just realized something really stupid. You can make the arcane divine caster combo with this thing. I think I broke him. The visible disgust. It's great. Don't you want to be able to cast crap both ways?
Oh, now I can suck in 2 different ways.
I sacrificed all my spells to be able to cast level 4 arcane and level 5 divine spells.
I actually put all my points in dexterity so I could use one of those trick flip skateboards with my fingers.
I bet you never thought of doing that, though. I bet you never thought, hey, let's start as a wizard, then just shift immediately to cleric so I could become this. Most contemplatives are clerics, although paladins are also. If you're a paladin, you pick this, you're a fucking idiot. Let's be fair, you're a complete idiot.
Yeah.
So on the bright side, they do get they do continue the divine spellcasting class improvements.
Yep, in every single level.
So that already, like, I'm joking, but it's not the worst because of that.
Yeah, but
they get a bonus domain.
They're not just 1, but 2.
Which ain't bad. That's always nice
And,
to have.
and unlike most bonus domains in this book, you get to choose.
Which is really nice. You lose a bit of health, but that's not the end of the world. Slippery Mind, the contemplative, gain the ability to shrug off magical effects, so if you fail the saving throw for a mind effect, and the next round you can try it again. So you get a kind of reroll.
Yep.
It's not great, but it's nice. Divine Wholeness, where
It literally is just the shitty monk version of healing.
it's
Only
even
that's 4
worse.
times your level instead of 2 because it's a 10 level class.
Come on, don't you want an even crapper version of Lay on Hands? Come on. This is what I've been waiting for, Diopsid. A crappier version of Lay on Hands.
Wowee, 40 HP at level 20.
You don't understand. I played this as a fighter, took a single level of cleric, and then and then became a contemplative. I'm joking, but I'm just joking. Come on. Divine Body, a contemplative becomes immune to poisons, which is not bad. It's pretty nice, actually. At 7th level, you gain spell resistance, which equals your class level plus 15. Which, hey, that allows you to shrug off a lot of spells.
Yep.
If you're wondering, the way spell resistance works is you have a number. If some bumbo is trying to cast magic on you, or if you're trying to cast magic on a monster that has it, you have to roll a concentration. If you do not
No,
beat number,
you gotta roll a d20 plus your caster level.
yeah, and if you fail, you eat crap. At the time you get the divine soul, it's not the greatest thing in the world because by that point, anything with caster levels are gonna probably succeed. Still neat though.
Yep.
Eternal bot, because I think it always, I think it's even if you roll a 1, it still fails regardless. Eternal Body. After achieving 9th level, you no longer suffer ability penalties for aging. So they will always be the exact age looking until they die.
Yep, but they get the bonuses for getting older, but not the penalties.
Also, at level 10, you become an outsider.
Yep, a native outsider, so that way your body and soul are still separate, so you can be easily revived.
Yep. And outsiders get some nice bonuses. And on top of
Yep.
that, you gain damage resistance 10 to magic.
Not that it matters at that point.
Yeah.
Everything's magic at level 20.
But overall,
Remember, you're going to be level 20 minimum.
Yeah, because you need to have 13 ranks. I still say, though, overall, Contemplative's not a bad option to pick.
Yeah, many people consider it a really powerful prestige class. It just is that it's just that it's a prestige class. You pretty much have to play half of the game first before you can even take it.
I will say overall, because it gives you some nice stuff: spell resistance, damage reduction.
Yep. The 2 bonus domains that you get to
And that
choose
too,
from your
because there are not all domains are created equal, and if you really know your domains, there's a lot of obscure ones, and some of them are really good. So because of that, I'm gonna rate this a high good. Only limited by the fact that you can't get at it early, and it slightly penalizes your turn attempts, and it makes you a bit frailer. Oh, and you do lose a base attack pip.
Yeah, and I would say it's high good. Like, again, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like the bonus domain is really good. There, and you get
Outsiders
some
are a
nice
pretty
stuff.
good template to pick up too.
Oh yeah, you get some nice stuff.
Overall,
yeah.
the only thing holding it back is you have to be level 10 to get it.
Oh yeah.
And there's other prestige classes that are about as good or better. I don't remember the Divine Crusader at all.
It's an interesting class.
Okay, so it has the same problems that you only get it's a 1 through 9. You get 3 slots for all, but the last 3 where you get 2, 2, and 1. So let's see how we're getting. Paladins make good Divine Crusaders? Well, I'll be the judge of that.
Honestly, it'd probably be better than taking a 0 through 9 class to enter this.
It'd be better
The reason
to
why
take
is
that,
because
yeah.
Their spell list is literally just a single domain their deity has access to.
Oof. That's a big oof.
Which, honestly, depending on the domain, can be a massive upgrade for a class like a paladin, even with the base attack bonus set.
It's not that big of a hit either. You only lose, from what I can tell, not quite about 4, I believe, 4 pips. So you still get 4 hits.
Well, you lose 3,
Yeah.
so you'll still get your 4th attack by level 20.
So you need a base attack of 7. You must match the chosen deity's alignment. You only need 2 ranks of knowledge religion, weapon focused, and the favored weapon. And here's what we get. You get aura, which the power of your alignment aura is equal to their class level. Kind of works like the paladin aura. Deity and domain, you pick the domain, and that's what spells you get out of it. If the domain granted power includes the addition of a skill or skills to the cleric class skill list, add it to the list as well. Spells per day, they cast divine spells. Basically, though, it's all from the one domain. You get electricity resistance at 5 to 10.
Yep.
Weapon specialization, acid resistance, dark vision, and perfect stealth, which you become an outsider as well.
Now, another thing I should point out is that imagine entering this as a fighter.
You know, that's not the worst thing in the world to do.
It's not that hard to get 2 class ranks in knowledge religion
It's only
by
4
level
skill
7.
points. That's only 4 skill points.
And you won't have to waste one of your precious normal feats for weapon focus.
Yeah. I mean, you lose a couple bonus feats.
But bonus feats is all fighter gets anyway, so...
And you get spells, and there are some really powerful ones that are abjuration based.
Well, like, especially since, unlike Paladin, you're not restricted by alignment, which means you also won't be... You can pretty much have the full, pantheon of your setting to choose from, and thus a domain of your choice.
So do you want to play an evil version of this? Yeah, you can play a Divine Crusader of Nerul as a fighter. Perfectly
I will
fine.
say that one of the most powerful domains for this would obviously be the war domain.
I forget what what spells in particular war gives you.
Well, they get stuff like Divine Power and Flame Strike. Divine Power will make up for the hit to base attack bonus.
Oh no! Oh no! Remember how I gave the what was the garbage fire class again?
Which garbage fire? We've covered a couple.
Black Flame
The
Zealot.
one that was literally on fire. The one that was
Oh,
literally
the
on
Black
fire.
Flame Zealot.
Black Flame. I think it's getting its revenge on me. I feel my stomach burning. Yeah, fitting one without me. I'm gonna need to chug some healing potions.
Oh no. The casualty rate for this episode of Dice Scum Live is too high. What am I fighting for?
I blame whatever they call the D&D equivalent of Circle they just revealed.
You mean the Ardlings?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it back because I really want to talk about that.
Let's just continue.
Just continue.
Let's show another glorious example of art from this book. There's another pretty face I have to show you guys. And it's a Divine Oracle. It's a rail. Wow, my mouth is mushing today.
I really don't know what he's doing with his hands.
Look at these busy hands. Also, this is a rare male instance of pondering the orb.
Fun fact for those that who aren't aware, the orb pondering picture is originally supposed to be Saruman looking into one of those orb thingamabobbers. It was part of
Palantir,
yeah. It was from a 1980s Middle Earth tabletop RPG book cover.
Was it Middle Earth role-playing game?
I think so.
Because there were 2 Lord of the Rings games, and I am more familiar with MERP. Which actually has a fairly complete map of Arda, by the way, which includes the land south of Harad.
Yeah, it specifically covers the Maiar and the wizards and whatnot. So which is why Saruman's on the front.
There's also some art of the stuff that you usually didn't see, like the other 4 dwarf clans. Because in the books, you only saw the Longbeards, the Broadbeams, and Firebeards. And you only saw those 2 if you read the Silmarillion. We don't see the Stonefoots, Blacklocks, Stiffbeards, and what was the last one? I always forget.
The drunk tanks.
Let's see, Stiffbeard, Stonefoots,
We never talk about them.
There's one more clan of dwarves that I'm just forgetting, and I feel like a dummy. I know there's petty dwarves, but they don't count. They were exiled for a reason.
Oh, the reason why you can't remember them is because they were actually the Gully dwarves this whole time.
I mean, that's basically what petty dwarves are.
I mean, but anyways, can we get to Divine
Who doesn't love
Oracle?
Dragonlance?
I mean,
yeah, we should probably go with Divine Oracle instead of contemplating dwarves.
So Divine Oracles, this is the Divine caster that focuses on divination.
Which honestly can be extremely powerful.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Wizards of the Coast and the playtesters they had were some of the most floppy-handed dolphin children that we've ever seen.
Yeah, like they thought that divination was so weak that a wizard that specializes in divination only has to forgo 1 school instead of 2.
In my opinion, the weakest school, it's a hard fight, but I'm gonna go with illusion.
Yeah, illusion and enchantment are both pretty awful due to there being
bad, but it has a couple of it has a slightly better spell selection.
Yeah, at least it has some nice buff spells for your allies.
That's the only reason I give enchantment higher than illusion. But yeah,
because it's great when 6 or 7 different creature types are outright immune to your entire school specialty.
So anyway, the dolphin creatures that Wizards also hired to playtest, for some reason, always pick the same type of character: sword and board fighter, trap finding rogue, healbot cleric, and fireball wizard. They never tested any of the other options they had. Not really.
Because they thought that's what the average class would be. So pretty much everything about the balance of this entire edition was based around that Team of 4 that very few people actually played, because those were probably the worst ways to use those 4 classes.
Well, trap finding rogue to a degree is about right, but that's
I mean it's good, but I mean but most people I think that play rogue usually put a lot more into combat than what they thought they would.
Yeah, they usually emphasize the I stab you from behind and take your lunch money type.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
Divine Oracle.
So yeah, this is basically Master divination.
So you need knowledge religion 8 ranks, skill focused knowledge religion, at least 2 divination spells. It's not that hard to get into. You gain the Oracle domain for free, which is nice. A scry bonus, which scrying is actually really... So this is why divination is actually more powerful than you think. Scrying.
Yeah.
If you really, really want to scare your players, or if you're not expecting this as a GM, one of the nastiest things you can do is you can scry the location of, let's say, the Bandit King that you're fighting. You could scry his location, and then using the scrying location, just ambush him with trash mobs that you summon down there.
Well, it's not even that. Those traditional scry and die wizard is that you scry their location, then teleport to said location without them expecting it, and just immediately go to town while they're flat-footed.
So yeah, just what you do, you get your Divine Oracle man. He spots the location of the Bandit King, and then just have the wizard just
teleport it when he's in the middle of shaving.
Have the wizard T-pose in to assert his dominance, and then Fortnite dance fireball him to death. And if things get bad,
fine. You can always make sure to find the time where they're the most off guard.
Another example, and I love this. While the big bad evil guy is asleep, like the Bandit King, Send the barbarian hopped up on meth. Hopped up on meth and all the rage of strength boosting drugs. And just have him murder everything.
Oh, and also make sure to also teleport in the rogue to sneak away the guy's weapon that's next to his bedstand.
No, if you're using a rogue, sneak in like poison, like diarrhea medicine. into his
Yeah,
into his stick brush.
Oh, well, I like this idea mostly because you're letting the wizard actually let the marshals do something.
like you sneak in diarrhea medicine. And
Like,
then,
this is a scry and die wizard, but he's one that actually lets his companions do stuff too.
and then the barbarian hopped up on meth, teleports behind him in the shower, and starts beating him to death while he's sobbing on the lavatory. I mean, alternatively, if you're a cleric, you just hide in his bathroom and summon wolves at him until he dies. But yeah, so scrying is really powerful, and you add a +1 sacred bonus to the save DC on all of their spells, so you're more likely to succeed. They get prescient sense, which allows them to, if they make a reflex
It's
saving throw,
basically evasion.
it's
The difference
yeah,
is that evasion is a form of evasion that works in medium and heavy armor, unlike normal evasion.
which is pretty amazing. Not amazing, but it's really good. Trap sense.
Yeah.
They get the ability to avoid traps. Always nice. Divination enhancement. You can roll twice and take the better result when using divination spells. That's really nice, especially if you're scrying and dying.
Yeah.
Uncanny dodge, which allows you to retain dexterity bonuses to AC if you're being flat-footed.
Yeah, it means you basically come.
As a caster, that's nice.
Yeah, with a perfect advantage, you basically become immune to sneak attacks and flanking.
And you get the improved version, too.
Yeah.
And
then an even better version, which I think is...
You get immune to surprise, which allows you to, on surprise rounds, act like you're normal.
Like, to give you an idea, the capstone is a complete game changer.
Because surprise rounds, you're hit flat-footed. You don't get your dex penalty. You can't react until your turn comes up. This guy looks at that and says, "No, that's kind of wrong. I don't want this."
He can, like, react, like, if all of a sudden there's going to be an ambush, he can literally just cast a wall of stone so that way everyone else in the party can get their stuff together.
Yeah, you can wall of stone, or if you somehow pick it up, the wall of force, the cuck box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cuck box.
Yeah, I mean, I think this class is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
It doesn't look like I was joking when we were having fun, just doing our thing. This is an amazing class. Divination is not a weak spell list. It is not a damage dealer, and you usually don't use it to apply bonuses. But if you need information, heads up, warnings, it's really good in exploring dungeons, and it's really good if you want to ruin the bad guy's day by having the rogue steal all of his silverware while he's not looking.
I mean, it's not like the cleric entering this doesn't have all of his other spells that aren't divinations.
Come on, don't you want to have your halfling rogue buddy just steal all the forks in his dining room? And then just, like, have the barbarian sneak into his larder and just steal
teleport
all the
the druid into the armory and have him turn all the weapons into rust.
Yeah. Oh, man. You also, let's see. You send a druid for rust. You send the druid's animal companion to take a dump in his bed.
While he's still in it, most likely.
Yeah. Other things you can do based on... Oh, no, I got it. You have the monk. He while he's taking a shower, he flurry of misses him in the shower. You just have him attack him in the shower.
I mean, it won't do anything, but it'll feel like he's a part of the team too.
It's the participation trophy.
Yeah.
Maybe have the fighter to feel like he's doing something, just like slightly cut all the ropes in the room. So
Don't
like
worry, Fissy
chandeliers fall.
McPunch. You can do something too.
Ambush the bad guy in the shower and make him cry.
Yeah, so what's
You
the
no before one
Ventropoman?
last one. You have the bard start singing, making yo mama jokes while playing the lute, like behind him, and then teleporting him out. Just like embarrass him on national television, essentially. Entropoman. Oh yeah, the X-Death class. Entropomancer. The one who wants to use entropy. So gods of entropy and insensate destruction, such as Thrasidune. Oh yeah. Just have a worshiper of that guy, the one who, in lore, was banished by the other gods for being too crazy. Even the
Including the evil one.
gods. Even chaotic evil guides like Grummish looked at that and said, "Oh hell no!" Even Grummish, who emphasizes destruction, looked at Thrasidune and said, "Nope." Even chaotic, stupid Lolth, that dumb idiot, even she was like, "Yeah, no."
Because he wanted to destroy everything, including the gods themselves, including himself.
So this is the X-Death class. Okay, so what do we get out of this? You have to be non-good, concentration 5 ranks, knowledge arcana 5, great fortitude, which sucks, and I don't remember magical aptitude at all.
It's the one that gives you +2 for spellcraft and UMD.
That's not the worst in the world, but it's not. It's whatever. 4th level divine spells. Okay, what type of crap do we have today? Well, let's take a look. Shard of Entropy. Okay, Shard of Entropy. Twice per day for a maximum of 1 round per Entropomancer level. The character can create a miniature Shard of Entropy. This shard is a chunk of absolute blackness, 2 inches of across, and can be moved up to 30 feet by the Entropomancer as a standard action. Against objects, the shard deals 3d6 points of damage, bypassing hardness. Against creatures, the Entropomancer must make a ranged touch attack, and if successful, it does 3d6 points of damage to the target, fortitude half, DC 12 plus the wisdom modifier, which is not that high of a challenge, you know? The shard appears in any square adjacent to the Entropomancer when it's created, and it can be used to attack on the ground. It does all the dancing. It dances around. It does literal dances before it starts hitting things. Yeah, a lot of this is you get the ability to summon, I guess, absolute edge to hurt people with.
Yeah, I'd also point out that
Yeah.
this class, you lose 5 caster levels.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Let me look. Yep. You lose the first, you lose the third, fourth, fifth, seventh, ninth. Yeah, it's trash. And you get a crappier damage die dealer.
Man, if only you instead had those spells that would deal so much more damage, preferably over a wide area.
Don't you like how at 5th level you get absolute nothing? You get an even deeper connection to absolute nothing, and it does 5d6 damage, and it has a DC 14 plus your wisdom modifier. Why the hell they decided to do that rather than DC 10 plus level plus modifier, I don't know. But don't worry, the entropy becomes stronger, and the DC only improves by 2.
Oh yeah, the capstone is also the most situational thing ever.
Entropic Field. It's an invisible energy that lasts for one round per level. 5 foot. All magical healing automatically fails within it. And it takes... what's the point? Once per round, as a free action, the Anthropomancer can force the character within the field to reroll an attack, save, or check. They demand the reroll after they know whether the attack succeeded or failed, but before the consequences have been calculated and applied. What? After you know if it succeeded or failed, but the consequence... That's really stupid.
In other words, after the DM says it succeeds or fails, but before you roll what happens after that.
Oh, that's... So it's just a reroll. That's one of the worst ways I've ever seen that get written.
Well, it's a bit different. They had to word it that way because usually rerolls you have to do it immediately after rolling.
Ah. The entropic field does 1 point of bleed damage per round afterwards. DC 15 heal check stops it, so that's kind of crap. And last but not least, you can control a sphere of annihilation. Woo! Remember that thing?
All you need to do is just find one.
So this one...
And you become immune to it.
This sucks.
Yeah.
It's edgy, it's uninteresting, it is trash. It is pure garbage.
Trash. Yeah, I have to agree.
Like there's this one domain from 3.0 that has a level 9 spell where you can summon a Sphere of Annihilation, but because of the losing the 5 caster levels, you never get access to it with this class, so the ability is even more useless.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, the Evangelist. Okay, let's see what this one's about. So, you proclaim their devotion to a particular deity, pantheon, or doctrine, and they're big, they're big preachers. They convert people, right? So let's see what you get. D6 hit die. You get bluff, craft, diplomacy, disguise, escape artist, intimidate, knowledge. So it's kind of a charismatic build. Let's see what we get. Oh, it doesn't advance spell casting at all.
Yeah. Or anything from any previous class if you try to enter it as a bard.
Oh boy. Well, let's continue. Great orator. You can inspire, protect, and otherwise improve the situation of their ally simply by speaking clearly and being heard. It's similar to the bard's bardic ability. Oh boy. And it stacks with bard levels, by the way. So, inspire confidence ability is improved, but does not gain any new bardic abilities, which are more useful than this.
Not to mention, bard spells. Those are pretty nifty.
But you don't understand, Diopsid. They can use bardic music to convert the unfaithful. Yeah. Doesn't that sound amazing?
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I mean, it's like... I mean, it's about as lame as, like, those, Christian rock groups from the 2000s that all sounded the same.
Oh, like Skillet?
Like Skillet, yeah! Or, like... Yeah, like, everyone that tried to be Skillet.
Inspire Dread, which, oh no, a -4 penalty on will saves. Inspire Hope, which does the opposite. Inflame the Righteous. You're covered in divine fire, and it's like a fire shield. It's purely divine, so it does bypass the fire damage thing. But
in other words, your allies do backlash damage if they get attacked.
Yeah.
But it
only goes up to caster level 10, by the way.
Yeah.
There's Convert the Unfaithful. If you have 13 ranks in Perform, you can attempt to convert an enemy within 30 feet. You could talk no jutsu them into becoming good guys.
Well, can't you just do that with, like, diplomacy, technically?
Yeah.
No, but this is actually, mechanically, you instantly convert them alignment-wise. Only creatures like outsiders are immune to this ability. You could literally unironically convert a bear to be lawful good. Oh, I mean, you can't be because you're a bard, but chaotic good.
Why? Why would you want?
I should also point out that you're probably going to be a lame-ass bard because you have perform oratory, not any actual instrument.
And I declare to you, bear, that you will see the light of Pelor, and you will repent and feel great justice. And the bear immediately makes weird praying motions. So this is a crap class. This is garbage, but that is at least entertaining. I would never play this class, but throwing it in as an NPC ally could be very funny.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like you run into a mind flayer, and you convert it to chaotic good. Because that's not an outsider. That's just an aberration. That means you could do that to aboleths too.
Yeah.
Don't you want a chaotic good aboleth?
God.
Just to point out, Modrons technically aren't outsiders or constructs.
You can make a neutral good Modron.
No, a chaotic Modron.
Chaotic Modron. Come on,
You know, the thing that's literally made of law.
You can tell it to embrace chaos.
Oh wait, never mind. It says creatures with the alignment subtype are immune, not just outsiders. So yeah, Modrons cannot be made to be like a
That's
broken toaster.
Does that mean you can make the
disappointing.
undead good? Can you preach a zombie?
I think
skeleton?
they didn't think this class through very well.
Like, what about a skeleton? Can you look at a skeleton?
Midnight sermon. So this is I think this is NPC garbage because this feels like something you'd give as an NPC ally.
You don't understand, this mindless skeleton lunges at the first thing that gets close to it for the greater good. You know, they're mindless.
It's mindless, but you could instantly convert dragons. Like the first red dragon you see, you tell it by the light of Pelor, and if it fails the will save, it becomes neutral good.
But it's a fucking dragon. It's gonna make the save and then immediately.
No, what if it rolls a 1
Oh,
though?
yeah.
What if it rolls a 1 though, Diopsid, and it instantly converts? There's a 5% chance that can happen.
Yeah.
Neutral good dragon. Yeah, this is a terrible class. It's just an entertaining one. Not to play, but just thought experiments for it.
Yeah. Next up is Geomancer.
This one's a weird one. This
Yeah.
one's a
It's
really
really weird.
So, I vaguely remember, because the way this works is the concept is that geomancers believe that arcane and divine magics are just the same force. So, because of that, you have to be able to cast second level arcane and second level divine spells. So you kind of have to multi-class to get into this. On top of that, you need Knowledge Arcana 6 ranks and Knowledge Nature 6. And from what I understand, the concept is you're kind of doing it like a druid.
You
Like-
transform into a weirdo. That's the entire class.
You effectively mutate into a... And we'll get into that. So, the way it works is you pick your arcane caster, you pick your divine caster, you swap between the two until you have a level 3 in either, and then you turn into this. So what do you get out of this? Well, for one thing, it improves the levels of the existing class, and
One of them, though.
only one of them.
Well, any given level, one of them. So I guess you could try to go back and forth if you really want to suck at both.
If you really want to be bad at both, you could do that. But the way that it's supposed to work is you have one school that you focus on the other. And odds are you're probably going to have it be an arcane one. just because for every one divine spells, there's like 2 or 3 arcane. And arcane spells tend to be a little more flexible. So,
Yeah, it's the big thing is they can cast their arcane spells as divine spells and their divine spells as arcane spells.
yep. So with that in mind, you actually can, which is really cool because you know what you can do with that now? Cast your arcane magic with no risk of spell failure. So if you're crazy, you can play it like that and go full armored. You also can use wisdom, charisma, or intelligence as your modifier. You get to pick which one of your stats you use for that.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. You get drift, which you get drift 5 times. And the way drift works are you slowly mutate into a weirdo, as the Diopsid says.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that with the drifts, the numbers next to them is that there's 5 lists of drift abilities, and you pick one from the tables because there's a 1 through 5 table.
So you pick 2 from stage 1, which are mostly just aesthetic.
Yeah.
Stage 2, you get some utility, like you can get a small camel hump that grows on your back, which means you can go without water for a few days. You can also gain the pads of your feet become sticky like a lizard, which gives you climb bonuses. You become faster. You gain a bonus on diplomacy. You gain cat-like balance. You get photosynthesis, so you can just sit in the sun. Stage 3, you get even more. And Drift basically turns you into an absolute freak, but it gives you some interesting little nifty bonuses.
I will say that it'll be hard entering any town.
Oh yeah, you'll be a complete abomination against the gods and the spirits, and they will look at you, scream, and then send the local church inquisitor to kill you. Probably with his consecrated Harrier buddy.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like a really fun duo of NPCs.
Oh, what I like is that some of the things you can buy,
Yeah.
like you can have both zebra stripes and like leopard spots.
Yep. You can
How does that work?
You can also get skin like an octopus, so you can change color. Oh god, can you just imagine giving someone a seizure by just flashing your color palettes really fast? That's like,
God.
don't you like how that's the first thought in my head? Hey, can I give
Yeah,
someone? Can I give the king a seizure? Can I
Your
give
toenails grow sharp. Yeah, not your nails in general, just your toenails.
your toenails grow sharp?
So you get a rake attack.
You can rake attack
But,
if
you know,
kick them.
you know, like how like when a cat grabs onto a big stuffed toy and it kicks with his back feet. That's what you're doing.
Oh, and it's also called devolution, so you're just rapidly mutating. Let's see, spell versatility. You get up to 9 levels of it. I believe that allows you to treat the spells of that level that way. You also get ley lines, which you get connections to specific types of terrain, and you pick the following terrain types between aquatic, desert, forest, hills, marsh, mountains, or plains, and you improve your spell casting level by 1 each time, which improves DC. It improves the dice check that you have for certain spells, which is nice because you do lose a few. Yeah, this is a weird class. Let's be fair, this is a really weird one.
This is a really weird one.
Like, it's powerful at the same time. I just only imagine the roleplay troubles you'd run into. Especially, you pretty much have to keep track of what the hell you even look like.
Yeah, like you'd have to it would be kind of fun to draw though.
You just become a blob of random animal parts.
Or plant parts.
I would, yeah.
You could spin a web like a spider, so you could you spontaneously fart webs and act like a monstrous spider.
You could have you grow an acid stainer of that of a giant ant. You can stab someone with your butt.
You can trip attack like a wolf. You gain the ability to rage.
You extend to elephantine width, so you just get fat.
So I think you get to pick from this, though.
Yeah, your skin becomes tree bark. Come on, don't you want to be a fat tree man?
You know, actually, the more I read this, the more it reminds me of that horrifying template atrocity you made, Diopsid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, clusterfuck, yes.
That's
So
yeah.
we were allowed to play whatever the hell we wanted. I played a mummy, which, you know, that's always fun.
Yeah, to your idea, it was just a one-off joke session, and I decided to take like a gnome and give it as many templates as I could feasibly allow, and he was disgusting.
I eventually just started. I just made my mummy become obsessed with fast food because they just fry everything in oil, which was a glorious example of degeneracy since oil was only
I
restricted
managed
to
to
the
survive getting hit by a tank because of all my bullshit.
rich. Yeah, it was a nightmare. And this reminds me of Clusterfuckia, so I'm gonna give this a good. It's not as good as
True.
him, but it's fun. It's a
Yeah,
fun
Yeah.
honestly,
class.
it's good, but it's a class I would never want to play personally.
It's fun. It's a fun class.
It's a class I'd bring in if I wanted to play a horrible monstrosity. Like,
Yeah.
help me, I can't stop. This thing is the nightmare, and I love it.
Looking forward to the next one. I heard this. This one seems pretty bad.
Oh, the Holy Liberator. I don't remember this one either. Which that's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a good thing, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
My gut instinct is
It's supposed to be similar to how the Blackguard was a prestige class. It's supposed to be like an evil paladin. It's supposed to be a prestige class. It's basically a chaotic good paladin.
oh, and that's why I remember. This is Chaotic Good Paladin. So, yeah, Holy Liberators are absolutely obsessed with overthrowing tyranny. They are the symbol of freedom. That's their whole thing. They have to be chaotic good, base attack +5, diplomacy 5 ranks, sense motive 5, and you need the Iron Will feat. So let's see what we get. They do get a paladin-like progression, sort of, but faster. They gain Smite Evil of up to 3 times a day, Aura of Good, Detect Evil, Smite Evil, blah, blah, blah. Remove Fatigue.
Which is worse than remove disease, which is quite the feat.
That's amazing.
Remove disease is pretty bad.
I mean, Remove Disease is just kind of a whatever.
Well, at least with remove fatigue, you can use it daily instead of weekly.
Yeah. Or a Resolve, which means that you can't control their thoughts or actions. And each ally is within 10 feet also gain a bonus to saving throws against
I would
death.
say it's far better than being immune to fear effects.
Yeah? It resists mind controlling effects. That's pretty good. Mind effects. Divine Grace, they apply their charisma modifier on all saving throw. Honestly, I don't. Yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly decent.
Oh yeah,
for me looking at.
I think like I just remember it being like not so good.
That's because it became obsolete because eventually Wizards of the Coast released errata, which allowed you to play paladins beyond.
No, there's not just one, but 2 different chaotic good paladin variants.
Yeah, that's the problem with this. It's kind of rendered obsolete because there's 2 other chaotic good paladins. That's also where the Paladin of Tyranny and the Paladin of Slaughter came from.
Yeah, and Dragon Magazine, meanwhile, made a completely different set of paladins for all 8 of the alignments normal paladin didn't cover.
So, it's decent on first glance. I don't know if I can rate it garbage, but I have to bump it down at least to playable because it's rendered obsolete.
Well, you also pointed out that if it's Celestial Companion is a lot worse than a special mount because it's like a medium, smaller, small size animal. Basically.
Yeah, I would say it's playable. Not as because it's like again That's what I remember, is that it was like obsoleted. Like, it's not like terrible, but as like terrible as I thought. But like compared to other things, yeah.
I'm being kind because at the end of the day, the 2 chaotic good paladin variants are 1 to 20, which makes them stronger anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the world. It's very low playable. It was originally decent because for the time, this would actually have been a fairly decent way to enter this as like a fighter. Like if you wanted to, let's say you're getting tired of being a fighter, right?
Yeah, and I should also point out another really big flaw that also came into play later on. Because it's technically not a paladin, it can't get battle blessing.
Which is the biggest problem.
Yeah, because that's like a
Basically,
Like the others,
it's
they're still
spell slow.
paladins. They're just variants of paladin.
Yeah, if you're wondering, battle blessing is critical if you want paladins to be able to cast effectively in battle. So yeah, I'm gonna have to drop it from playable to just garbage, but it's not a it's not a harsh garbage if you get what I mean.
Just to give a small round, battle blessing. The only requirement is that you must be able to cast paladin spells. There's no basically anything that is a paladin, even the other alignment variants of paladin. It makes your full round action spells standard actions, and your standard action spells swift actions.
And it's because of that, yeah, I'm going to have to knock it a further step. It is soft garbage. I don't hate it because at the time this was your only way to really play a different alignment paladin. And honestly, it's still better than the Blackguard by a lot, and it's quite functional. And again, for a fighter, if you're getting tired of how the fighter's working, this is a good way to actually avoid that.
Yeah. Like, similar to the Consecrated Hero, I think it would be better to enter this as a martial.
Again, I'm not being harsh on it. It's just obsolete.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, paladins actually stack with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might be because we're remembering Hospitaller, which is right afterwards. I don't remember this one being good.
Yeah, me neither.
This one is specifically paladin, obviously.
All right, so a Hospitaller is designed for paladin, so let's look. You have to have handle animal 5 ranks, ride 5 ranks, mounted combat, ride by attack. And you have to cast first level divine spells, non-chaotic. And let's see what we get. We get lay on hands, which is a paladin ability. They continue to advance in casting, but
I should
only
point out
partially.
that there are not very many prestige classes that continue to advance lay on hands.
This one does.
But this class has many downsides.
For one, it doesn't advance your paladin spells 3 times.
Yeah. And which for paladin hurts a lot due to how their caster level works.
That progression locks them at a 4th level, I think.
No, they still would barely get at level 20, but they get a big hit to their spell slots.
That's not good. Alright, so now that we know that, let's see what else they get. They get a bonus feat, which hoobity-doo, fighters get that. They get remove disease, which hoobity-doo. And that's about it. It's
yeah.
Yeah, code of conduct. It's like
all you really get out of it is 3 bonus feats, but those levels you get bonus feats, you also lose paladin caster levels. That's it.
Garbage, just pure garbage.
I guess technically you can also enter as another class.
No, you need divine. Oh yeah, like as a cleric.
Yeah, I guess you can enter as a cleric, but it'd pretty much be a cleric multi-class with something else, most likely.
Titanic downgrade, yeah. This is awful.
Yeah.
Especially since, if you notice, you need ride 5 ranks and mounted combat and ride by attack, but you don't get a special. So you don't even your paladin wouldn't even advance its special mount.
Oh yeah, that's another problem. Your mount doesn't improve; it's stuck at whatever level you get. God
And if
help
you
you if
enter
you're a
from another
fighter.
class, you won't have a mount for which those skills and feats are used for.
It's really amazing how they designed something this bad.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the worst one we've read in the book so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard fight because there is the Black Flame Zealot, which is also pretty bad, but it's up there. The Pious Templar. So these guys, their sole purpose is to guard cities, particularly temples in the cities. And here's the details on them. You need a base attack of +5, knowledge religion of 4 ranks. You need true believer, which is actually a feat in this book, and weapon focused with their deity's favored weapon in mind. Let's see. They have D10 hit die. They get their own spell list, which they get metal, which is nice. Getting metal is rare.
Metal is an infrequent but repeatedly seen ability that's like evasion but for fortitude and will saves.
Yeah, metal is always good to get if you can.
It's one of the rare cases of a reoccurring ability that isn't part of the SRD.
Yep.
That and Censor Demons.
Censor Demons is also really fun to get if you can. So you get spells per day. Let's see how the spells work. A small number of divine spells. They must have a wisdom score, so they use wisdom as their stat. They have access to any spell on their list. On the list, they can freely choose what to prepare, like a cleric. Pious Templar prepares and casts like a cleric does. Yep. A good Pious Templar or a neutral one use the Paladin spell list. An evil one uses the Blackguard list. And
Unfortunately, because of the line, just like a cleric, that means it still doesn't technically count as paladin spells for the purpose of battle blessing.
So yeah, you're kind of in a weird spot.
Yeah.
So that kind of knocks it down a bit. You do get smite up to 3 times a day. You actually get damage reduction up to 2, which that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, without anything that could bypass it.
So that's nice. You're just a little bit tougher. You get weapon specialization.
This is like the third class that gives weapon specialization.
Yeah, you get a couple bonus feats, and all in all, from what I can tell, since you don't need to have any spells at all, this is a good martial option.
Now, and the paladin spell list is pretty solid,
Yeah,
all things considered.
It's good for a martial, like a fighter. This isn't a bad thing to pick. Heck, actually, you could totally enter this as a barbarian if you felt like it.
Yeah.
You keep your fort and will save high. Your reflex is bad, but that's common. It's fairly common for a martial. I think this is I'd say this is a decent upgrade.
Yeah, decent.
Mainly because the paladin limitation, because it's not treated as paladin spells, so battle blessing doesn't apply.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, last I recall, there's only like a single prestige class that is listed as casting as paladin, and it's the Bone Knight,
which is good. So yeah, Pious Templar's not it's good if you wanna improve your fighter. And actually, you could bring one of these guys actually along with the Inquisitor and the Harrier. Like I can just see an entire team of prestige classes from this book already, and it's kind of neat. Ah, yes, the Radiant Servant of Pelor. This is just a straight up improvement from Cleric.
Yeah. You lose nothing. Nothing.
You actually get better turning.
Much better turning.
The only no Diopsid. You lose one thing. On average, 1 extra hit point per level.
Oh no.
Okay, so for those wondering why I'm so familiar with it, this is one of the Diopsid's favorite classes, prestige classes to pick for a cleric. If he's making one that's dedicated to Pelor, It's not always the one he'll pick. He might pick something else, but this is one he's used a couple times.
Yeah, it's
so
really
good.
solid.
So let's very quickly go over why. First off, the bar to enter, not that hard. Willpower, will bonus of +5, will save of +5,
Yep.
heal 5 ranks, knowledge religion 9 ranks. You need extra turning, which you're gonna get anyway because divine
Yeah.
meta magic.
Yep.
Able to cast divine spells, and you need Sun Domain and you need Pelor. So if you're a priest of Pelor, you're already set. You get good fort, goodwill, extra turning, greater turning, radiance.
Well, I mind if we go a little bit more into this. If
Sure.
notice with the weapon and armor proficiency, you now are proficient with all martial weapons and
Oh, I
power
didn't
shields
catch
too.
that.
Like you are with all simple martial weapons, with all armor, and with all shields.
Which that makes you a far nastier cleric, by the way, if you go into melee.
Yeah.
By the way, you keep the cleric's advances in terms of base attacks, so you only lose 1 point.
Yep. And Radiance is a bit more interesting than you think. Basically, a spell with a light descriptor, the radius illumination is doubled. There's a bunch of splatbook spells where the radius of the light actually has a mechanical effect besides lighting up the place.
Yeah, I remember there's a couple of light spells that actually do damage to certain enemy types, right?
Yeah, do damage to undead over time. Like, really obscure splatbook spells, but, like, I remember when I played one, I literally looked up every single light descriptor spell in the entire edition and calculated how big they'd be, and there's some places where you can pretty much radiate almost the entire floor of a dungeon and do passive damage to undead.
I remember I remember vaguely that several zombies and skeletons were basically almost dead by the time we got to them.
Yeah.
Just because of that damage. Like, they were coming, but because they're slow, well, skeletons not so much, but zombies sure as hell were.
Yep. And extra greater turning. The Sun Domain grants the ability to once per day let you do a special turning where if you succeed, instead of, no matter how, as long as you succeed, you can just dust them as if you rolled the highest result possible for the turn.
Yep, and you get more of that.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, while you don't always run into undead, when you do, you bring a cleric of Pelor. They're even better than other gods focused on killing undead.
Yep. And, then they also gain immunity to diseases, like a paladin would.
Yep, which is nice.
They can eventually get an automatic empower on domain spells from the healing domain.
Diopsid, you forgot the other reason divine health is so bullshit. You're immune to mummy rot and lycanthropy.
Yeah.
Mummy rot is one of the nastiest diseases for a reason. It is damn near impossible to survive. It is hard as hell to remove because it is both a curse and disease, just like lycanthropy.
Yep. Yep. They can also eventually empower and then later maximize the spells of their healing domain.
Which makes them amazing healers, up there with healers.
Yep. And their aura of wording is basically a much better, well, for your allies, a better than the paladin aura of courage because it just gives you a +2 bonus on will saves in general and not just against fear effects.
They also get positive energy burst, which also is a great way to screw up undead.
Yep. And they get a bonus domain, which can be either any Pelor domain or alternatively the glory and purification domains, which Pelor doesn't normally get access to.
And they get supreme healing as their capstone, which healing spells treated as if you've empowered and maximized them.
Yeah.
This is an amazing class.
Yeah, amazing.
Don't even have to think about it. It is just straight up one of the best classes.
You take the most stereotypical actions a cleric can do and dial them all to 11.
You literally lose only just the barest bit of HP. And that means shit all. Wait a minute. The Rainbow Servant. Is this the one I've... Oh, yeah, this one. This one. This one!
Oh, yeah. This is some... There are multiple classes in this book that were supposed to lose caster levels at certain levels, but in the text say they advance spells every level, and officially the stance for 3.5 is text trumps table.
So, okay, let me get into this. So, the Rainbow Servant, why I'm laughing, you are dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, a lawful good Rainbow Serpent
Well, no,
entity.
you're actually dedicated to a type of outsider called Quaddles.
Quaddles, they're really good. But anyway, in the chart, you're supposed to lose 4 spell slots, which would have actually really hurt the class, which it would, and it probably would have deserved it because of what it does. But because it doesn't do that in the text they say you keep all of it. Guess what? No lost spell levels. That already makes this a fairly solid shift. So with that in mind, let's get into why I laughed so hard. It's not because you get the detect evil. That's nice. You get an extra domain, which is also really nice. You get an extra domain at level 4, air domain, not bad. You get the ability to grow wings, which is whatever.
Well, I one of these extra domains are for a class that's normally an arcane caster.
What now?
Yeah, like, because you're an arcane caster entering this, it basically means the spells from that domain are simply added to your spell list.
Which is nice. And actually, this leads to, screw it. I'll spoil the capstone. Cleric spell access.
Yep, where you can now pick and choose spells from the cleric spell list. Now, here's the thing. There's only 2 that qualify, but there's 3 arcane casting classes that automatically know their entire list of spells.
War Mage and Beguiler.
Yeah. There's also the Dread Necromancer, but that cannot qualify for this class
because they can't be good.
Yeah. But anyways, with how this works, you basically will be able to spontaneously cast the entire cleric spell list on the fly, the second biggest spell list in the game.
On top of that, you still have your own list of War Mage or Beguiler spells. And War Mage has a not too shabby list of blast casting on its hands too.
Yep. And not to mention the good air and law domain have lots of nice stuff too.
So because of that, this is why we have a rating above amazing. This is the book that made me create it. This class, the Rainbow Servant, is Tippy tier.
Yes.
For those unaware, the Tippy, there's this theoretical setting called the Tippyverse where the casters realize how powerful they actually are and basically god mod everything.
Guys, you're spending too much time on your screen. Go outside. Never! Also, nice to see you, Gianna. But yeah, this is... it is a glorious class to unleash. And also, as a GM,
banned.
Don't ban. You don't have to ban it, but keep in mind what a person can do if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, especially if they're entering it as a Beguiler or a War Mage. Because there is some level of balance entering from another arcane class because, for Wizard, you have to spend your money to learn it. And with Sorcerer, you'd have to swap out your spells known.
And on top of that, as a Wizard, yeah, you have all the spells on hand. But you also got to remember, a spell book only can contain so much. Most GMs forget this, but don't forget that, because a spell book I think can only contain 150 pages, and cantrips take up 1 page each, and 9th level spells can take up to 9 pages.
Right, actually for Wizard, the cantrips are all freebies that don't count. You just know all Wizard cantrips no matter what.
But you can limit Wizards by doing that. Now, the difference is a Wizard can have a compilation of books, and they can just have their familiar... Just go into the demi-plane and pick up the volume that they need. So it's still... They can still get around it, but it puts brakes on it. Those brakes...
Yeah, that's also why Wizards need an hour of preparation after the 8 hours of rest to get their spells ready for the day.
Because there's little things they have to do during casting that they're not going to remember perfectly. And if you don't do it exactly right, the spell.
Well, it's more
count.
like they have to go through all their spell books to decide what to prepare for the day.
That too, it represents that, and because of that, that's why there's still breaks on it if you pick Rainbow Servant as them, despite having such a big
It
spell
still
list.
would be amazing,
It's still
regardless.
amazing, but the breaks come off when you pick a War Mage or Beguiler.
Yeah, in which case it's just Tippy.
Yeah.
Tippy
Glorious, glorious class. The Sacred Exorcist. Oh wow, this is weird. Let me show this off. I have to show off this text because this is a little weird. Unlike the other bits of art, this one actually has text above it. Trothera the Just, a Sacred Exorcist. The other ones didn't have that. I just thought it was interesting. All right, Sacred Exorcists. How do these bad boys work? Through elaborate rites, blah blah blah, they're able to kick out ghosts. So the way these work, you need knowledge to the planes 10 ranks, knowledge religion 7. You need to be able to cast dismissal or dispel evil. And let's see, it improves the spell casting slots per every level in the chart. So that's good,
Yep. You also continue to advance turn undead,
which is nice. You gain
So-
exorcism.
Yep.
Which
I will say that because of that, that also means, like, Radiant through Pelor, you aren't really... Well, you take a hit to fort saves.
that's about it, though. What's your hit die? I can't see it. I'm dumb. D8, so you don't take a penalty there either. So exorcism allows you to force possessing creatures or spirits out of a body. It's similar to Spirit Shaman. Turn undead, obvious. Resist possession, which is situational, but sometimes happens. There's a few spells that have that ability. Detect evil. Chosen foe, which is basically similar. It's very similar and pretty much the same as the ranger selection.
Except for that, you can only choose between undead or evil outsiders.
Which it's kind of situational because there's only 2 options, but you get 3 of them. So you can either select one in specific and get up to a +3 bonus, or you can pick and mix, which gives you some slight bonuses. It's not the greatest in the world. It's not bad. Dispel evil as a spell-like ability once per week, kind of situational.
3 times per week.
Up to 3 times per week. It's still kind of situational.
Yep. Now, this one is an interesting one, is the Consecrated Presence, where you basically have an aura that is the Consecrate spell, which is actually extremely powerful.
Oh, neat. Yeah, because that allows you to really protect yourself in a dungeon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd say this is probably the best class feature it gets, and even if you aren't fighting ghoulies, it is probably one of the reasons to take this class regardless.
I'd say it's an overall good class.
Yep. Oh, and also, at the end, you also get Holy Aura as a spell-like ability once per day.
It's overall a solid class. Trothera the Just should have become a Radiant Servant, let's be fair.
Yep. But
she's a Cleric of Pelor. She, I think, chose not poorly, but I don't think she picked the best option.
Yeah. But I will say that if you are not a Cleric of Pelor, but you really, really hate undead, or just you just want to fight demons and devils in general.
Yeah, it's useful there.
I mean, it doesn't have the make everything Cleric can do better that Radiant Pelor has, but it still has next to no downsides for taking it.
And the Consecration's nice. Oh boy, the Sacred Fist. I actually played one of these once. So a Sacred Fist is a very odd duck of a class. And the best way to describe it is, you know how Monk is terrible? Let's try to make a less garbage Monk. And this is best represented by the following. So the way to actually enter it, you first need a base attack of +4. You need knowledge religion 8 ranks, combat casting, combat reflexes, improved unarmed strike, and stunning fist. So for this, you have to start as a monk and take some cleric levels, because you do need to be able to cast divine magic. So how does this class work? Well, first off, you get a full base attack bonus, which instantly makes it better than monk, and more than makes up for losing a pip when you switch to cleric. On top of that, it advances monk things perfectly fine. Third, it gives you all but 2 levels of a spellcasting class. Unless this is one of the ones where they actually forgot about that in the text. Let's find out. Oh. I don't think yeah, I'm reading it right now. It looks like
Yeah,
Sacred Fist
which
keeps
means
all
with the
of it.
right build, you can still get level 9 spells.
Yep. If you focus mainly on being a cleric. You still need to take at least a couple monk levels, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, this allows you to play a more combat-aligned cleric, especially one that specializes in unarmed blows. It advances the unarmed blow exactly as you would a monk, so the fist gets better. It gets Sacred Flames, which the way that works is, as a standard action, you can invoke it around their hands, and it allows you to do a Street Fighter combo, where the additional damage is equal to your class level plus wisdom modifier. Half the damage is fire, round up, and the rest is sacred energy. Now, fire is shrugged off by a lot of enemies.
Yeah, it's the single most heavily resisted element in 3.5, and most other D&D editions, because fire is iconic.
But sacred damage is not resisted by much, if any.
Yep.
There's
There is nothing that resists sacred. Sacred is basically typeless, more or less.
Which means that, yeah, you get to just straight up add damage. You also get blind sense, which is very nice to have. And on top of that, you get inner armor, which gives you a sacred bonus to your armor class. And saves, by the way. And spell resistance.
Yep, Larson's 25.
Who approach ya?
Greg.
Did the Black Flame Zealots have failed to kill you forever? He came back like the risen martyr of the Book of Exalted Deeds.
Are you ready to become an NPC?
Oh, please. Sacred Fist isn't that terrible.
I've always been ready.
So I'm a bit biased, so I'm not going to give the fairest result. I say it's a good class mainly because it fixes a lot of the problems Monk has.
I will say it's a good monk class, but a bad cleric class, if that makes sense.
That's perfectly fair.
That is like, that is fair.
If you're mainly a cleric, picking this is the stupidest thing you could do. But if you want to make monk good, pick Sacred Fist. It will not disappoint you. It's a good class for it.
Well, actually, I should point out something.
Oh.
With enough feat shenanigans, you can enter this class without a single level of monk.
How?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a feat that gives you improved unarmed.
And Stunning Fist.
There are many opportunities to the dark side.
Wait, that means you could get full cleric levels, and I think you might be able to just barely get enough base attack bonus boost to get a 4th attack.
No. Well, yeah, actually, you get a plus. Yeah, you get enough for 4th attack. Actually, it's also one of those classes. Actually, it's a direct upgrade from just going full cleric if you want to beat something up.
So let's change the score. It's an amazing class for monk, but a good class for cleric too.
Yeah, and especially since, because of the spell for day, it fully advances its spells despite what the table shows, like the Rainbow.
And on top of that, you get an extra 30 feet of movement as a cleric and armor
Which
bonus.
is really big considering that most healing spells are touch range only.
So you could just skeet your way across the galaxy. Just touching people.
Yeah. If you notice, the inner armor doesn't say you can't use it while wearing normal armor.
So you just get a straight up +3 AC bonus too. I can't
Or
rate it
actually.
amazing, but it's still a good cleric class. Mainly because it does reduce your turning attempts.
I mean, it's pretty much a non-issue, like you said, because it doesn't get rid of how many you can use. It just makes them weaker against actually using it.
And it more than makes up for it because you've basically made a Gish monstrosity.
Yeah.
I literally named this I kicked Keister for Pelor, and I didn't. That was unintentional.
Yeah.
That was unintentional. I forgot Sacred Fist was in this.
Yeah.
Okay, Seeker of the Misty Isle. This is the elf religion race class.
Or half-elf if you're one of the 3 people that actually wants to play a half-elf.
Yeah, half elves are. I actually know people that would prefer playing half elf to half orc.
I know, it's just that, like, mechanically, the only reason to ever play a half-elf is for the pretty decent bard substitution levels, and that's pretty much it.
Also don't forget the elven racial ability entitlement.
Well, no. I actually know people who will argue that the elven mechanical bonuses are still better than half orcs.
What?
Yeah.
You don't get any of the good stuff of the human, and you get worse versions of what the elf gets.
Yeah.
Oh, and also a random +2 to
But
a
you don't
couple of
understand.
skills.
You don't understand the -2. I don't get that problem, and you just get strength bonuses half orc.
Oh wait a minute, actually, I forgot that.
Yeah, but at least I can think of a class that it would actually want to enter, like Barbarian.
Mm-hmm. I actually realized my mistake. Half elves actually do not get racial entitlement.
Is it?
They gotta check.
I'm literally talking about the fact that there is a literal text in the elf race listing that says any elf who passes within 5 feet of a secret or concealed door is entitled to a search check.
Oh
As
yeah,
if they
their
were actively-
ability to spot that. Yeah, half elves
Yeah.
don't get that.
They
They are
really.
literally
They're
racially
the weirdest thing because their race is almost a non-race in terms of abilities.
Low light vision, immunity to sleep, +2 against enchantment, +1 to search and spot, +2 Diplo and gather. Counts as an elf.
So anyway, the next class is Seeker of the Misty Isle, the elf race one. So this is another one where the chart's wrong. You get all of your spell casting levels. You don't lose any of your spell casting levels at all, or spells per day, I should say. In exchange, you get fort and reflex save, good, bad will save, extra domain travel. You gain the swift-footed as a feat. Corellan's perception, which that one
Well,
works.
it's not a feat.
Oh, I'm dumb. Me am dumb. It's an extraordinary ability. At 4th level, Seekers ignore the -5 penalty for accelerated movement when using balance, climb, hide, or move silently.
And survival.
So that's pretty nice. Corellan's Perception, which allows you to gain a +5 racial bonus on listen, search, and spot checks. Sure-footed, which... Let's take a look. Preternatural sense in the minute details of the landscape. Ignore DC modifiers on balance, move silently, and tumble check. Find the path, where you can use it once per day as a spell-like ability. You gain Arcane Sight, which allows you to just use it as a spell.
Which, by the way, clerics don't normally get access to.
Yep. As the spell from the caster of the Seeker's highest divine caster level, by the way.
Yep.
And last but not least, Discern Location once per week as a spell-like ability, which allows you to track people.
Yeah, I will say it's sort of like a weird racial exclusive hybrid of the Consecrated Harrier and the Divine Oracle.
Oh yeah, lore-wise, these guys exist because, Grummish once challenged Corellan after Corellan tricked him and took the forests from him, because he was claiming different domains for his tribe, the Orcs. Grummish lost that fight and lost an eye in the process. So, in revenge, he stole the Misty Island, which was the greatest of the prizes that Corellin claimed for his tribe, the Elves. And these guys are dedicated to finding it.
I've also noticed under weapon proficiency, you also are proficient in all martial weapons, like the class feat.
I'd say straight up, this is an improvement for clerics.
Yeah, if you're, for whatever reason, you're an elf cleric.
Elf cleric, or if you want to pick a ranger, you can do that.
I don't know, it really doesn't do too much for rangers specifically.
Yeah, it just gives you extra domain spells.
Which are a lot worse for something that doesn't normally have domains.
Yep.
Or 0 through 9 spells.
I'd say it's a solid good for an elven cleric.
Yeah.
There's nothing home to write about, but you know.
I mean, compared to some of the other stuff we saw in the book previously.
The Blade of Hieronius. So the Blades of Hieronius are usually clerics or paladins. Wait a minute, is this the one that I remember absolutely screwing over paladins?
No, that's a different one.
This
is the one where they screw over themselves.
Wait, every even number levels gain, the Shining Blade of Hieronymus gains new spells per day. So, already
into the trash it goes.
Yeah. Gets full base attack, good fort, goodwill. What else does it get? Shock Blade. Shock Blade! Oh no, Shock Blade has terrified my dog. She's barking in fear. This must be a really powerful ability. Twice per day as a standard action, a Blade of Hieronius can cause a slashing or piercing weapon he's holding to become a shock weapon, dealing an extra 1d6 points of electrical damage on a hit!
Wowie zowie, what a bargain.
Wowie zowie, powie, bowie, bowdy, dowdy. Zowie, gowie, yippee, dibba, dibba,
By the way,
dibba.
it doesn't improve at all. It just all it does is it extends the number of rounds it has. That extra
It upgrades as you level into eventually Holy Blade and Brilliant Blade.
All right, let's take a look at Holy Blade. Holy Blade. The Shining Blade can bestow 2 enhancements on the weapon. A supernatural ability replaces the Shock Blade, can be used 3 times a day. He could choose to make it a shock weapon or a holy weapon, doing 2d6 bonuses of damage against evil. You know what? Also, I could smite them and do even more.
Or if you enter as a paladin, just learn the spell
But
itself.
would that have the flavor?
Oh, this is trash.
Yeah, as a paladin, just learn the Holy Sword spell itself and be able to cast as a swift action. Because, like I said, if you have access to splat books, there's no reason to not pick Battle Blessing if you plan to use paladin spells at all.
Okay, and last but not least, Brilliant Blade, which, yeah, you get extra, and what it does is you could either do 1d6 of electrical, 2d6 of damage, or as a brilliant energy weapon, which sheds light like a torch and ignores non-living matter. It's enhanced this way, blah, blah, blah.
Ignores armor bonuses.
That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool ability, but not lose 5 caster level of cool.
I declare this trash.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the Stormlord. I remember this. This is a fun one because you can string this together with Mystic Ranger and what is it? An infinite javelin. Electrical thundering javelin.
Yeah, the glove of infinite javelins.
To make thundering, sonorous javelin explosions.
Made of force.
So, okay, the Stormlords, basically, they worship the ability to destroy things. They're not the nicest people in the world. You need to be able to cast 3rd level divine spells. You worship Talos. You need fortitude bonus of +4. Endurance, great fortitude.
No, Bethesda. We're not ripping. This isn't from your setting. Sorry, I could feel the lawyers begin to encroaching from there.
From Nicholas, I guess a story thing could be angering the gods, yeah? Would Dread Necromancer work? Not for the Rainbow Servant. It's non-good. If you're wearing a sword on your head, you become Taserface. I mean, at that point, you might as well just, aim the blade to the back of your head and headbutt it until it goes through, All right, so the way the Stormlord works is what they get is they get all spellcasting advances. They get enhanced javelins, resistance to electricity, shock weapon, which is and then they also get thundering, by the way. So if you're wondering, shock weapons deal extra d6 points of electricity damage, which, hey, remember that thing called the Blade of Hieronymus? Yeah, it does
Yeah.
that without sacrificing spell casting. Noticed that? Here's
Yeah.
another cool fact. Whenever you use a javelin, it's treated as up to a +3. Naturally. You don't have to enhance it at all.
That's nice.
And this is where I found out that there is a magic item called the Glove of Infinite Javelins, where you can produce an arbitrary number of javelins that deal force damage, which basically means unless you're fighting the epic level force dragon, is completely unresistible.
So let's just say you hate everything. Mystic Ranger, get all your spells early. Enter this thing. Get the ability to hurl +3 thundering, shocking force javelins that ignore damage for most of its
Yeah.
selection.
And I mentioned with the Mystic Ranger, for those unaware, Mystic Ranger is a fun variant that I use more than regular Ranger that sacrifices the progression of most of its nature stuff to get level 0 and level 5 spells.
To be honest, I think it's a better class.
Yeah, especially since it has its level 5 spells, its highest level by level 10, which means it's the perfect class to go into a 10 level prestige class that doesn't advance spell casting at all.
Yep. So and this one does.
Yeah, so you still get those extra spell slots.
So you get Stormwalk, which allows you to walk through storms at their regular movement, completely unaffected by winds. Thundering, which, if you're wondering, I believe, what is it? It does sonic damage.
Yeah, on a critical hit.
Storm Ride, which allows you to fly around in storms, very situational. Shocking Burst Weapon. And Storm of Elemental
So it's
Fury.
going to do a lot of damage if you crit.
And Storm of Elemental Fury, which means you just instantly summon a storm and then fly around in it like a jackass.
Yeah, you basically get a level 9 spell as a spell-like ability.
So this is straight up just a good class.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we're using an obscure variant of a class with a obscure splatbook magical item to make this good.
I'd still say it's a decent class, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's
It has
nothing wrong
potential.
with it.
It has potential.
If you like to play a ranged fighter, not a ranged fighter, but like a ranged, not martial, but like you used a lot of ranged weapons.
Someone that specializes in throwing stuff.
Yeah, if you're a throwing specialist, this is a good class for you. Especially if you have the Glove of Infinite Javelins.
And especially if you're, also a defined caster, because you kind of need that.
Mm-hmm. The Temple Raider of Olidamara, which, if you're wondering, is a nod to, I believe, the rogue that steals the gem from the eye of that demon in the classic book. So, how these guys work are they are devotees of the god of trickery and thieves. And that kind of reflects in what they can do. They have a rogue's hit die. They get average base attack bonus. They gain trap finding, trap sense +1. They gain sneak attack dice, uncanny dodge, skill mastery, which means they can use skills even if they're being pressured, like during combat. They gain the luck domain, which is it's not bad getting a domain spell list, and they have their own spell list, by the way. And as for the spell list, you get Detect Law, Detect Secret Doors, Disguise Self, Invisibility to Undead, Obscuring Mists, Protection from Law, Augury, Cat's Grace, Dark Vision, Delay Poison. Very, very useful kind of like positional spells that a rogue would want. Or at least mostly. You don't really get a ton of damage dealing stuff. You don't really get damage dealing. You get nice toolkit stuff for a rogue. Since it's starting to get late, I'm going to try to speed run the last of it because we're very close to finishing this book. I'm going to say the Temple Raiders is a good class for especially rogues, which is what it seems to be designed for.
I mean, it's always good.
No, this was
there's a lot of
clearly made for swashbucklers.
You can enter it as one.
swashbucklers.
You use your dexterity bonus to attack anyway, so Cat's Grace would improve it. But no, it straight up improves what a thief needs. It gives you sneak attack dice, trap sense, uncanny dodges. I mean, I see no issues with it. You get some nice toolkit spells. You don't get a lot of them, but it's always nice to have spells as a rogue. Just straight up, I'd say low good, high decent.
Okay, I don't know if it's possible to speed through this next one because it's a pretty important one.
Actually, we covered Ur Priest, remember?
Oh yeah, in the other book.
Wait, did we do divine? Did we do Vile Darkness? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay, so Ur Priest. So we'll try to do as best as we can.
Our priest is basically basically the cleric version of Blighter, only it doesn't suck at all. It's quite the opposite.
So the way Ur Priests work are they effectively, in mindset, they steal the power from the gods. They think the gods are uncaring, capricious jackasses, even the good ones. So why bother worshiping them? And they figured out a way to steal divine power. So you have to be evil. You have to have bluff. You need several ranks. Iron Will and Spell Focus, evil. This actually was a book of Vile Darkness class that was updated and made easier. You actually have to not have any ability to cast divine spells at first. And you have to be trained in it. So the way these guys work is they very quickly get up to 0 through 9th. And they get actually the full spell list effectively.
Yep, they also get Rebuke Undead, of course, a bit weaker than what a cleric would have it. And they get spell resistance versus divine spells and the ability to steal spells and spell-like abilities that are divine in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the big thing about Ur Priest is that it is one of the key classes used in builds to get both level 9 divine spells and level 9 arcane spells by level 20.
It's critical
Basically
to
taking
use
a
this.
level in this while previously taking an arcane casting class and then going into Mystic Theurge, you'd be able to get double 9s.
Which this is one of the only ways to very efficiently do this.
Yeah.
So that's why Ur Priest is amazing. It's because again, you can't cast divine magic naturally. So actually, you can kind of enter this however you want to. It's good for arcane casting, but you don't have to. You could actually enter this as anything you want. It's a straight up improvement. You very quickly become a 0 through 9th caster. So you can get some nice abilities as a martial, and you get average base attack. So you could actually Gish build with this too. Divine Gish.
I just want to say the picture for Ur Priest looks like what Derek thinks he is.
What is it with evil priests dedicated to like either euphoric atheism or the satanistic? What is with them shaving their heads?
Yeah, I don't know, but
they want to look like Yuri from Command and
they
Conquer.
have like they always have the beards. Like
That's so weird.
I don't know. They want to look like Yuri from Command and Conquer.
Okay, the Void Disciple. Hey, remember the Entropomancer? Hey, let's make one that's even kind of crapper. Actually, no, this one's slightly better, but it's still bad. I remember this one. So let's get some ideas on how it works.
Yeah, this is a weird class because it is 13 levels instead of the usual 5 or 10.
Which is one of the reasons I don't like this class.
And you need to be minimum level 7 to enter.
So you have to commit to this. On top of that, it doesn't advance spellcasting all the way. This one, there's no
You're
error.
going to lose level 9 spells.
So that's no good if you're aiming for that. On top of that, let's see what you get. You get Sense
And in
Void.
fact, you also lose level 8 spells, too, looking at it, counting.
Oh God, you do. Yeah, because you -5. And you get poor base attack bonus, by the way.
Yep.
Will save is the only good one. What D6 hit die? Let's see what
You
we
can be
get out of
either an
this.
arcane or divine caster to enter it.
Yep. So let's see what we get. Sense void. You can reach out with the mind and sense the world around, seeing the unseen. Blah 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 blah. It's a crap fluff ability. So I think this is just a crap way to maybe look at scrying. I don't know. Moment of clarity allows you to perform any skill or feat. You must use a standard action to touch the target. The target gains 1 feat or a number of ranks and skills equal to their relevant ability modifier. So you can gain 2 ranks of ride for a total modifier of 4. So, you can just slightly
Whoa.
improve it.
That is
Wow,
literally
improving
the
skill
equivalent of
checks.
whoa.
It's almost as if
Whoa.
skill checks are really easy to improve in 3.5.
Altering the
That's why.
course.
That's why. Can't you hear the excitement in my voice? Whoa.
Altering the course.
Whoa.
Once per day, a Void Disciple of 7th level or higher can add a plus 20 bonus on any single attack roll, skill check, or abilities check they make. It only works for them, though. Void Release. 3 times a day, a Void Disciple can touch an ally, allowing that character to use the highest ability score modifier in place of any one low. This is even worse than the Marshal.
Yeah.
Oh my word. This is...
Whoa.
Ugh. Void Suppression. You can make a melee touch attack to force the target to use their worst ability score modifier for 5 rounds.
Wow, with your D6 hit die, it sure sounds like a good idea to get within a punching range.
Of an ogre. That's the suggestion they give. You can use the ogre's low intelligence instead of their strength modifier. Void Strike. You can bestow 1d4 negative levels on the target, which is an ability you can do as a level, I think, 3 Necromancer.
Pretty much.
Quality! And that's, by the way, that's the fucking capstone of this thing.
I was about to say, isn't that the capstone?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Also, just because I can, here's what a Void Disciple looks like. Apparently they're very much into Orientalism. This looks like a character you'd see in Big Trouble in Little China.
It's just a few steps away from looking like it's part of a World War II propaganda poster.
Yeah. War Priest. Okay, so it already loses spell casting, I think. So let me double check.
Yep.
Continues advancing. Yep, even numbered. So you lose all your odd number spell levels. So say goodbye to spell slots and levels.
But you get such amazing spell-like abilities in place of it.
You do get
Ones
a
you
bonus
mostly
domain.
could have gotten as spells anyways, just by taking the levels.
Yeah, get a bonus domain. You get Rally. So you can use this ability as a standard actions. Allies within 60 feet who are suffering from fear effects, who hear the War Priest, are allowed another saving throw against fear.
Whoa.
War Priest stack with any character's cleric or paladin levels. By the way, I vaguely remember this punishing you if you picked paladin. There's a class in specific I remember that massively punishes you if you picked paladin. Inflame +2. What's this do? As a full round action, you can inflame the passions of their allies. You get a morale bonus on saving throws against just charm or fear effects. You can just
fear effects are like Babby's first death effect, or the reason why I remove fear is a level 1 spell.
Don't paladins already do the same effect anyway by just
Yeah, there's multiple
fizzing?
ways to become immune to few.
This feels like a more specialized worst paladin.
You get mass cure light wounds once a day.
Wow, paladins don't normally get that. It's too bad the mass cure spells are complete dog shit.
By the way, you treat the caster level for the effect, and you lose several of those.
Yeah, it's great.
Fear aura. You can emanate an aura of fear in 20 feet of you. You have to make a will save or be affected by a fear spell.
As you notice, it doesn't say you exclude your allies.
Yeah? It doesn't.
It's
So it hits
everyone.
both.
Everybody.
You try
Heroes
to protect them from the fear effects, but you spook them at the same time.
once per day. You can use Hero's Feast as a spell-like ability.
You don't understand. He's hungry.
You get haste 3 times a day as a spell-like ability.
I mean, that's decent.
Mass heal. You get mass heal equal to his highest divine caster level, which is dog shit.
Yes, yeah.
It's gonna, especially if you're a cleric. Yeah, I remember this.
Especially if you enter as a paladin.
Yeah,
So I think
especially as a paladin.
like
Yeah.
a level 10 paladin, level 10 war priest, it'd be caster level 10. No, caster level 7.
It's 7 because paladins don't get caster levels
Yeah.
at first.
Yeah. No, it's because they count their paladin levels count for half caster.
Oh, that's why. Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord. That's why I remember this punishing paladins so fucking badly. Implaceable foe. You can channel positive or negative energy to keep allies fighting even after suffering mortal wounds. It requires a move action, but the War Priest concentrates to maintain it each round. While active, you emanate an aura in a 100-foot radius. Allies within the radius can ignore the effects of being reduced to 0 or less HP. However, anyone reduced to negative 20 dies. So you just double the threat range of being dead, which is very, very situational. So yeah, I don't think I need to explain why this is garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah.
No, please, we'll go into go.
Well, I don't know. Having a caster ability like a level 7 paladin sounds amazing. You know, being able to turn undead as a level 7 paladin, which is already terrible, so I'm basically like a level 4 cleric. Come on, don't you want to have the same turning ability as a level 4 fucking cleric at level 20? You might be able to scare off some skeletons. And I don't mean the impressive ones. I mean the normal human ones, which are, I think, what is it, half a CR?
Yeah.
Fucking righteous, man.
Oh man, what a wet fart to end on.
Yeah. It's a book with a lot of really powerful classes, but then it has War Priest.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Evangelist, another.
I mean, that one's at least entertaining.
At least Evangelist was amusing.
Yeah.
I demand thee, red dragon, to repent thine ways and worship the light of Pelor. For the sun is kind to all creatures, be they big and or small. Dragon critically fails their will save. I've been in my thousands of years of life, ruling over your chattel. I regret much of it. You can instantly redeem a lich.
Like that, like a skeleton. Instead of lunging at your throat, on instinct because it's evil, it's now lunging at your throat on instinct for justice.
I repent, lich who's been alive for 8,000 years. You converted demi-lich to justice.
No. I got something better. Beholder.
Beholder. I order you that the lords tell me, Pelor tells me your cracked mind is healed. There's an entertainment value in an Evangelist.
Would Beholder just explode if they had to become good?
Well, it's not that.
The biggest thing, they didn't really explain what happens to creatures that are either mindless or have 1 or 2 intelligence.
Well, the thing with Beholders are they're so insane that they'd still probably hate anyone not them. They just don't lash out by killing them anymore.
They just lash out by shitposting on the internet telling them that they fucked their mother.
Yeah. Come on, don't you want to have an entire team of repented bad guys on them? Like here's the Lich who's been responsible for the end of several civilizations every time he wakes up from his lair. He's been operating for 8,000 years, but this one chuckle fuck from a backwards province managed to convince him that he was bad and must repent. There's the 800-year-old red dragon that's half the size of a mountain that constantly eats dwarves. It feels so bad that it lets them borrow from its horde in exchange for interest rates that are relatively friendly.
I'm mostly more confused by the mindless creatures because, like, the only reason why undead are evil is because they're made of negative energy.
Or they just attack people.
The changing this alignment does not change their behavior at all.
They death hug you.
No. By turning them good, they just spontaneously explode because good and bad cannot exist in the same thing.
No. Diopsid. They hug you to death. It's like that one character from Looney Tunes where it's like they'll love you and pet you and name him George. But they don't talk since they have no brain. It's just what they do.
Yeah.
They just scream.
They just scream as they hug you to death.
Or what if you change a demon?
It doesn't work for
It
them.
doesn't work on creatures with alignment subtypes.
Maybe I think that means undead are
No, they don't.
Because aren't they innately evil technically?
Yeah, but they don't have the evil subtype.
Oh.
You know, the last time I saw playtesting this good, I was looking at a copy of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, this book's kind of rough. There's several charts in here that are not accurate, and you have to follow the written word.
Like 4 or 5 classes that get significantly more powerful than what they would be if they actually made the text consistent with the tables.
Yeah, it would we have several glorious classes because of it.
I just realized another creature that wouldn't aboleths be able to?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You could repent an aboleth.
Because they're only aquatic.
Yeah, you could repent an aboleth. You could also repent a giant kraken.
Or a titan.
Yeah.
Or a chaos beast as you're turning into a spongy pile of goo.
Or a mummy.
I love that you can make a chaos beast good. It's still going to mindlessly wander around and touch people, but you know.
You could also. Ooh, I just wanted. You could turn a devourer good. You know those horrible undead abominations
that feed on souls.
Suck out your souls. Yeah, that suck out your souls.
It only goes after bad guy souls now. This is Axe Cop level logic here.
Wait, what about constructs? Yeah. What about constructs?
Yes.
They're always true neutral, but they don't have an alignment subtype.
No. There's one. I found a construct here that is not by nature evil, but has the alignment evil.
Yeah.
The retriever.
Yeah, a lot of them are mostly based around what their creator's alignment usually is if they have an alignment type.
Yeah. Well, what happens if you? What happens if you turn this construct good? What does it do?
Nothing.
It becomes robot. It becomes robot Santa Claus, including the mass homicides that robot Santa Claus is very well known for.
Loved past tense future realm because they're gonna ruin it.
Anyway, we've gone on for a good while. I was thinking this was going to be split into 2 parts, but we really sped run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for the next D&D book, what were we? Complete Arcane was, I think, the idea?
Something like that.
It was either Complete Arcane or we were going to do the Book of, Book of Exalted Deeds?
Yeah,
See you again in 3 years, folks.
Book of Exalted Deeds or Vile Darkness and or Complete Arcane. See you guys. Have a great night.